In a world where voices are silenced,
Please.
one man refuses to lie down.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
He's been punted not once,
40 years they've been trying.
not twice,
You couldn't fire somebody if they were horrible, doing a terrible job.
but 3 times.
You're fired.
He doesn't tell you what to think, but gives you something to think about. Welcome to the Bonafide Podcast with Luke Bona. And he's not
All right, here we go.
done
Hold your ears, folks.
yet.
It's showtime.
Well, g'day, it is episode 98. 98, 2 to go to the big ton, and they're approaching. Have we got some fun around the corner, millennial? 2 live streams happening this week. One of them, 6 a.m. tomorrow.
6 a.m. Tuesday morning, Truckee Tuesday with Rod. So if you're listening to this episode when it drops and you've got nothing to do in 6 hours' time, jump on Facebook or YouTube and you can catch up with us there.
But call in. Call in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a member of the truckie community or if you're affected by trucks, that's everyone. We want to hear your opinion. So ring in, email us and get involved. And then we've got something big happening at 7:30 on Thursday morning, another live man cave. Are you and I doing our normal thing early, or are we all starting at 7:30?
No, we'll just do a quick headlines first and then we'll jump on.
Okay, because I've got to tell you something. You'll find out when you edit the podcast that you're dropping today. Trevor Long is fascinated by Artemis II. And he understands why it didn't turn me on, because I saw Man Walk on the Moon in 1969 and nothing has surpassed that for me since then.
Yeah.
But he just loves the technology involved and the fact that they took selfies and photos using an Apple phone.
Yeah.
And Apple didn't make a big fuss about it.
Yeah.
You would
Missed
think.
opportunity.
No, wait till you hear what Trevor has to say. It was kind of deliberate, but it's a special Apple phone, and there's only 3 of them made. And, but there'll be more made now. You should see the quality of these photos. But Trevor also said, I invited him without asking your permission. He might jump on live on Thursday to talk to Adam, the vice captain, about conspiracy theories and space travel.
Love it.
So Trevor,
Love it.
Trevor Long, at this point, has said, I don't think I've got anything on. My Triple M commitments, I should be clear on Thursday. He said, if I can't, I'm not brushing you. I'd love to come on. So Trevor could be joining us on Thursday with Scotty Phillips. I want to play a game. Now, hopefully the boys have provided you or will provide you with their content. You remember last time, I think it was Adam, said, we need to do something like the Quickie and we should go down memory lane, nothing like a bit of memorabilia, and talk about classic TV ads and jingles that we still remember. You did Cotties very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to play the commercial Quickie, where you are going to play, say, 2 or 3 seconds of a famous jingle or an ad, and then we have to guess what it is. So the boys will submit one each. I'll submit one. You can do one, but you'll be in charge of the buttons. So we'll ask our listeners to have a crack at it as well.
Love it.
So hopefully you'll receive their suggestions to give you enough time to edit and have the quickies ready. So the commercial
and
quickie.
if the listeners have any suggestions as well, feel free to send them in.
Yeah. So I like the live stuff. It's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So please support us. Please follow us. Do we prefer YouTube or we don't care?
Doesn't matter. Anywhere you listen, if you follow the show, subscribe to the show, anywhere you listen, it really is the best way for us to reach new audiences. So if you love it, please do that. Otherwise, tell a friend. We appreciate it.
Just having a look at some of the news headlines. There's something I discussed with David Littleproud, who's coming up a little bit later in this podcast, along with Trevor Long. The Prime Minister is on his way to KL, amongst other places. He's also on his way to Brunei, as well as Malaysia, to try and secure fuel supply and food. He's had a very successful visit to Singapore. And is it too little too late, or he's on a hiding to nothing? If he didn't do anything, he's on a hiding. And if he does something, everyone's saying it's too late. We'll get into that. But what do you make of this, Kelsey? The government has announced a $20 million television campaign, television, radio, online. It's a $20 million advertising campaign on advising us Australians on how to save fuel. It's the federal government's fuel-saving campaign. It's called Every Little Bit Helps. 20 million. Kelsey, do we really need the government to spend $20 million on telling us how to save fuel? Everybody who drives a car, everybody who needs diesel, everyone who needs trucks to deliver groceries, we all are aware of how dire things are at the moment. And anyone who drives a car knows to drive it as little as possible. And we know how to save fuel. Do we need to be told with a $20 million advertising blitz?
Yeah, I feel like they're speaking to the wrong audience here. And wouldn't it have been lovely if that $20 million could go into subsidies for supporting the fuel crisis? You know, I don't know. But then again, we're not the audience they're trying to reach, right? Maybe there are Australians out there that need tips, right? We know,
Anyone
but I don't know.
Anyone who
I
drives
have
a
some
motor car
friends.
knows.
I have some friends that would probably not be aware of, you know, things that they can do to save fuel. I just feel like everyone's just driving less, right? Because that's what else can you really do?
That's right. And drive slower. Don't drive aggressively, but drive as little as possible. That's basically
I just don't understand why
that's what the
why
ad
they
campaign. But that's what the ad campaign's telling us to do.
Yeah. I just don't understand why they don't put that into some subsidy or something to help people actually pay for their bills. That's what I don't understand.
Something else in the news today that I'll discuss with David Littleproud is US President Donald Trump. Now, he apparently has ordered the country's Navy to begin a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. He said that he had also instructed the US Navy to intercept ships in international waters that paid Iran a toll. He has also said that he's willing to come to a deal with Iran so that they split the toll. And America gets a toll as well as Iran. Do you know the whole thing? You know the acronym TACO, Trump always chickens out.
Yeah.
The world is hip to this now, and they're calling his bluff. And
Yeah.
I don't know if the Trump bluster, the heavy threats, don't know if they're going as far as they used to because
No.
of the TACO acronym.
I've got to say, I am over Trump. I'm over talking about him. I am over worrying about another country's president. And next time you hear me going, oh my God, this is going to happen because Trump, whatever, just say, Kelsey, take a fucking chill pill because like I'm over hearing what he has to say because it never ever pans out. And, you know, I feel like I'm just over it. I don't want to hear him anymore. I'm done. Nothing he says can be trusted.
Okay, well, you know, when David Littleproud was leader of the Nationals and a chief player in the coalition, he had to be very, very careful and diplomatic about what he had to say. Now that he's not, he says a lot more. Wait till you hear what he says about Trump.
Yeah, but don't you reckon, aren't you sick of talking about him? I'm sick of talking about it.
It's affecting the world and the world economy, what's going on in the Middle East.
I know.
One positive thing is at least you've got the US, Iran, thanks to Pakistan, at least in one room now talking.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm over it. I'm just over it. I don't want to hear about it anymore.
Can I ask you a question? How does a convicted gang rapist escape from custody while at a hospital? This is doing my head in. You've got a convicted gang rapist. His name is Michael Angok, Angok. And he's been charged 5 days after escaping custody while at a Sydney hospital. It was Bankstown Hospital. How does this happen?
I don't know. I want to know how he's out and about anyway. I'm pretty sure it was in 2014, he was convicted or at least accused of raping a young person in a park. And I think his trial was in 2017 and he served 2 years of parole or something like that. Look it up. Don't quote me on that. But I just don't understand how he was out and about just doing things anyway.
And how can someone so dangerous escape from custody at a hospital?
I know, and 2 years parole just doesn't. That's not rehabilitate. You cannot rehabilitate anyone whilst being on parole for 2 years. That was his punishment for allegedly raping somebody. So, I don't know. I don't understand how this can happen.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. This will affect his sentence. How much more time will he spend incarcerated now that this has happened? Hopefully 20 years.
Did he do anything crazy when he was, when he, or did he just kind of like run around the place?
What, to get fit? And was he helped like Desi Freeman? Did somebody know where he was?
Yeah. So I've got it here. So he was convicted of sexually assaulting a teenage girl in a Doonside Park in February 2014. The victim told police she was walking through the park when a man approached her before overpowering and sexually assaulting her. He was released from custody in 2017 after serving a minimum non-parole period of 2 years. What? 2 years?
2 years.
I feel like that's not enough to rehabilitate somebody. Like, if we think that prison is for rehabilitation, and that's a different argument for another day, but if that is what it's for, 2 years is not enough time to rehabilitate someone when they've committed such a heinous crime like that,
We should talk to Adam Shand. Next time we talk to Adam Shand, we'll try and include this one. But remember, he's going to face more charges now. But it makes you shake your head, Kelsey. It makes you shake your head, doesn't it?
Well, it just makes you feel very unsafe, because I'm really into watching, there's this show where I think it's on like Prime, and it honestly helps me fall asleep, but it's called 24 Hours or something. And, it's like a homicide has happened, and they have to trace like the last 24 hours of somebody's life. And watching that show and you figuring out who done it really makes you realize that like sometimes bad things just happen to good people. You can just be walking past somebody at the wrong place at the wrong time, and it makes you realize how important it is that, the justice system is up to scratch to make sure that the person you're walking next to isn't going to throw a bucket of acid on you,
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like that woman with the baby and that guy who just threw hot scalding coffee on the baby, 3rd-degree burns.
Who does that?
And then took off back to China.
What is wrong with people? Like, what is wrong with people? You're going to have something.
What is wrong with people? It's a whole segment that I did on Triple M. What's wrong with people? Anyway, let's encourage our listeners to comment. 0291289311. Luke Bona Radio Guy at gmail.com. You've got some voicemails?
I do. Let's listen to the first one.
Hello, Kelsey. It's Paul again. I actually misspelled that word. It is actually 9. The German equivalent of no is 9, and it's spelled N-I-E-N. I'm a bit tired. I mispronounced it. But anyway, there you go. That's where the joke is.
Yeah.
It must be a bit of a Dummkopf. That means dumbhead in German as well.
Dummkopf?
No, I'm not German. I just know a couple of words.
What was that? What was your bloody joke again? The square root of something.
Yeah, 81. I asked someone, did they know what the square root of 81 was? And they said no. I said, oh, they did know.
Oh.
9.
9.
Yeah.
All right, next voicemail.
Yeah, go on.
Hey, Luke and Kelsey, just heard on the podcast about about prisoners getting parole and the victims. If in New South Wales you can be on the victims register and you get notified about when they're going for weekend release or when they're going for parole, and you can actually write in and stipulate areas you don't want them to go to, which isn't guaranteed that they won't get that, but it goes towards the outcome of whether they get parole or get weekend release or whatever. Anyway, just to let you know. Bye.
This actually just reminded me of something. Ages ago, it would have been like 10 years ago now, there was like the hottest prisoner, and he became really famous because he was that really good-looking prisoner. His name was Jeremy Hot Prisoner. Once I show you his face, you'll be like, oh, yeah, that guy. Oh, it blew up, Luke, because this guy, for some reason, his mugshot was released, right? And people saw it on like, some police page, and people are like, oh my God, that is the hottest guy ever. And objectively, he is a good looking fellow, right? But I was, listening to an interview or something the other day. Turns out when he got really famous, because anyone can visit you in prison. So random people, fans, were booking in to see him at prison time, and it would take up all of the spots he had like with his family. So he didn't see his family for like a couple of years because all of these randos were booking in his like visitor time, and he would rock up and expect to see his family, and there's just some random person there being, you're so hot.
Fans.
So, I mean,
Fans.
fame comes with a price. Fame comes with a price.
Did he go on to a reality TV show?
Oh, he did. He did real stupid stuff after he got released. I think he like did some modeling things, but then he like, I don't know. He kind of, it was a wasted opportunity for him. You know,
I'm surprised he didn't turn up doing a breakfast show on an FM radio show.
He tried to do some like acting, and I mean, he's got 2 million followers on Instagram, so I'm sure he's got brand deals out the wazoo. He's definitely not living a rough life, but yeah, I don't think he used that opportunity in the best way he could have.
You're not supposed to be able to profit from crime.
Yeah, but you're not really. He's not talking about crime anymore. He's trying to be a model and an actor.
Yeah, good luck to him, eh?
All right, last voicemail.
I bet he was popular in the showers. Keep going.
Hey, Luke, Kels. Hey, fuel the truck up in Cloncurry. $7,461 for 2,500 litres. Hey, Albo, what's your credit card details?
Yeah, the fuel crisis isn't really the government's fault. It's several governments' fault. And I'll have more to say about this with David Littleproud. The global instability isn't the Prime Minister's fault, but we could have done a lot more about it, including correctly adhering to our charter with the IEA, the International Energy Agency, by holding 90 days instead of 30 to 35. And if we were completely self-sufficient, and that's what everyone's saying, why can't we, because we are girt by sea and we rely on tankers to bring everything here, why can't we be completely self-sufficient when it comes to fuel? Well, we could at a cost, and I'll talk about it later on. If we did drill, and I'm sure under our feet we have enormous resources, if we did explore, if we did find oil, if we drilled it, if we refined it, if we turned it into petrol completely on our own, how much would you expect to pay per litre? Experts are saying somewhere between $6 and $8 a litre, because it's very, very costly to do all that. To build refineries, to maintain them, takes labour, takes money,
pay wages,
takes wages. Yeah. And so this is why they went offshore. They went by the market price at the time, and they said, it's pointless us doing it here. Let's buy it cheaper from overseas. Well, we got caught. So we could be completely self-sufficient, but how much a litre would you be? So should the government then subsidise the fuel like they do everything else? They subsidise renewables, subsidise the fuel that we make here. Well, eventually the money,
especially if they've got to spend $20 million on a bloody advertising campaign.
On how not to use it.
But I got to say, Luke, this not having enough barrels in storage, whatever the thing is, I reckon this will never happen again, because I reckon, I wish we had like the history of, you know, the parties before Albo, and if they kept the fuel reserves up where they needed to be.
No, let me just tell you. The fuel that we have stored in America is called paper barrels. It's all on paper. We've paid for it.
Yeah.
And it's sitting there. And you'll hear the term paper barrels coming up. Both sides of politics have done this over 20 years. They've both done it.
They got too comfortable.
Now, Angus Taylor was responsible at one point for allowing this to happen. So it's not any particular government's fault. They've all done it. They've all done it, Kelsey. It's been bipartisan.
I reckon it'll never happen again because of the backlash that's because you can't predict, especially when Trump's in power, you just cannot predict. And it's kind of like what John Anderson said the other day, governments have got too comfortable. This was a big wake up call to say, oh no, we can't sit on our laurels. Is that the right saying? Lie on our laurels?
That's exactly it, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we actually have to be proactive when we've got such a volatile, government across the world happening.
Thank you so much for listening. Episode 98 coming your way. There's something for everyone. Love your feedback. David Littleproud, who I now call our man on the inside. He is no longer leader of the Nats, which means he's a lot more relaxed. And he says things to us now on the Bonafide Podcast that he wouldn't have said a few months ago. I think you'll enjoy it.
While he drinks from his cup, we're bonafide and busted, but you legends stick around.
regular chat with our man on the inside, David Littleproud from the Nationals. David, always good to talk to you. How are you, buddy? Are you used to daylight saving being over yet or not, being a Queenslander?
Oh, look, we got to give you guys an extra hour every 6 months so you can catch up to us Queenslanders. So glad to see it's over, so you're back in line with us. But I actually don't mind it because when you come back from Canberra, you pick an hour up, you get on the 8 o'clock flight and you're back in Brisbane by 8:30 and I'm home by lunch. Daylight saving's not too bad when you guys need that extra hour for every 6 months to catch up to us.
Well, it's always been a massive debate. And when I had my national radio program, daylight saving, twice a year we'd have this debate. Should Queensland get involved? And then I remember Bob Catter, I think it was Bob Catter saying South Queensland should, North Queensland shouldn't. If you're doing business regularly with New South Wales, it's good to be on the same time. And then you hear the cows won't milk, it fades your curtains and the roosters don't know when to crow and all that sort of stuff. As a Queenslander and as a farmer, what do you reckon? Daylight saving, yes or no? All in or not?
No, stay away from it. I mean, if you think through this, Mount Isa is on the same longitude as Adelaide. Cairns is on about the same alignment west of Melbourne. So, we're a big state, and I got to say, I look after Western Queensland, and while the North Queenslanders always make a lot of noise about it should just be North Queensland should be left alone, I think most of Western Queensland are not interested in either. We're pretty happy doing our own thing, and it's just easier. I mean, otherwise, like places like Birdsville, Windora, Charleville, the sun goes down sort of 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night. Yeah. So the sun in my electorate, I'm 43% of Queensland, and so the sun sets an hour later in the west of my electorate than it does in the east. So, people in Warwick and Stanthorpe might go, yeah, we're interested in it. Once you start getting west of sort of Chinchilla West, it starts getting pretty hard on families. And, most people out here, we just do our own thing anyway.
You do your own thing anyway. You are another country.
Yeah, but there is two states up here, but there's Queensland and there's Southeast Queensland. And I suspect one day Southeast Queensland will decide they want it, and that's where the votes are.
And where would you draw the line? Where's the line?
Well, I think the reality is Southeast Queensland, they're basically their own state now anyway. They do their own thing. All the money pours in there. That's
but where's the line? Rockhampton or Gold Coast?
Most people would say Gympie.
Gympie. So from Gympie. So from what side of what road in Gympie south and what? Okay, Albury Wodonga. Okay, Twin Cities. There's a river. I get that. But where in Queensland do you say that's South Queensland, this is North Queensland? Where's your line?
Oh, for North, well, this is where you do get yourself. There's far North Queensland, which is effectively Cairns. Yeah, exactly. And then you get into North Queensland, which is Townsville, and that's sort of Townsville to Mackay, and then underneath that's Central Queensland, and that's sort of rocky down, and then Bundaberg sort of says, well, they're Wide Bay. And Wide Bay goes down to probably Maryborough, and that comes across out into my part of the world and my electorate as well, out into Kingaroy and that part of the world. And then once you go west of that, well, it's Western Queensland, which is where I am. And then, Southeast Queensland is basically the Sunshine Coast, the Gold Coast, Ipswich and Toowoomba. Everything else west of that is we don't see us. We're not part of I'm not part of Southeast Queensland. So, sometimes there's as much hate for Southeast Queensland as there is for New South Wales when you live in Queensland, because we see they get everything and we get nothing. So we get fired up. But it's such a big state. And that's the thing, is that while we're not saying we should split the states up, I don't think too many people are excited about daylight saving up here unless you're in Southeast Queensland.
All right. Just remember, when I was on the Triple M network, 71 transmitters at my disposal, which was a dangerous thing of management. but Broken Hill, New South Wales, Adelaide time. So imagine me on daylight saving. I'm speaking to the whole country. I got WA 3 hours out. I got South Australia. I got Queensland to worry about. I never did time calls. I used to say, folks, look at your watch. That'll do.
And look, I did see a proposal the other day where they said, well, instead of doing an hour, do a half an hour, and the East Coast should just do it half an hour, which would probably be a little bit more palatable to some, but a full hour does knock people around, and many people out in my part of the world on the New South Wales side of the border actually run on Queensland time. They prefer, if you're in a rural communities like Mungandai, Boggabilla, and all the way out, they run mostly on Queensland time because they gravitate to Queensland, so they won't run. But if you go to Dubbo, if you go to Broken Hill, they run on South Australian time. So that if you go out to Broken Hill, they run off them because they gravitate to Adelaide. So this is the thing, is that it is a tough situation, but we're a big country and it does have an impact on many. So that's why I think we're pretty relaxed. But if there was a alternative, I did see that floated a while ago about half an hour, or that the East Coast just does half an hour rather than an hour when it comes to daylight saving.
Okay.
Well, that might be a solution that people could see as palatable.
Well, why don't we invite our listeners to have their say? They can leave a message on 0291289311 or send us an email, lukebonaradioguy@gmail.com, and I'll let you know what the poll is. Now, David, I've got some questions and I'm going to sit and listen, and I don't know how much time you've got, but we now hear that the Prime Minister is going to travel to Brunei and KL after what would appear to be a successful trip to Singapore to try and secure our fuel supplies and food supplies. It's all a little bit too much too late. And you and I have discussed this. The IEA, of which we are bound, the International Energy Association Agency, the IEA, we're supposed to have 90 days of fuel. We never have. So now we're panicking. Would you, one, say the trip to Singapore was successful? And what do you make of the trip to Brunei and KL? It has to be done, but is it too little too late? Take me through what you think.
Yeah, well, look, I'm not going to criticise the Prime Minister going to Singapore and to Brunei and to Malaysia. That's where most of our crude oil is refined, and that crude oil most of it comes through the Straits of Hormuz. So it comes from the Middle East, gets there, they refine it, and they send it to us. So it's important that refining, if they get supply, we get our share of it and what we're contracted to have. So it's important, and so it is right that the Prime Minister's over there. So it should be acknowledged he's been over there, he's got that, and we can negotiate with our gas. That is important. That's the one input that we can send to them and say, well, we can give you surety of gas because they need that gas to refine it. But what's happened was that the Prime Minister was too slow to understand this. I mean, when Trump started dropping bombs, it was within a week we were getting calls from primary producers and regional towns saying we've run out of fuel. We're not getting our fuel supplies, and the reason for that is they were looking at this without an understanding of what happens in regional Australia. So there's 4 big fuel companies in this country, and what they do is they control more than 80% of the fuel that comes through the ports.
Yep.
What happens is they then sell this to secondary wholesalers and distributors who take it to regional Australia. They're not interested in having their retail outlets and distribution arms in regional Australia because it's not big enough for them. So what they were doing is they were worried about supply stopping and price shocks. So Trump stopped dropping bombs and the price collapses.
Yep.
And they get caught with these contracts sending these fuel out to the secondary wholesale market. So these smaller distributors from regional Australia were turning up to the port at BP, at Viva, at Ampol, and they're going, well, we're not giving you any. And what they were doing is they were hedging against the bombs stopped dropping and the price dropped, because if the bombs stopped, the price was going to collapse, and then they got caught. Because some of the other thing is around the contracts is that these secondary wholesalers pay the average price of the month before. And so that was a real problem for the big 4, because that meant the monthly average price, if there was a change and a price fluctuation downwards, they were caught. So their hedge to reduce the losses that could come while they're making a lot on the way up. They wanted to minimise what they could lose, and if the price fell, they were holding back supply to hedge. Now, when you hold back supply, you also push up the price artificially anyway. Albanese and the ACCC. I mean, the ACCC in regional Australia has about as much respect as the Bureau of Meteorology. I mean, you've seen the fiascos the Bureau of Meteorology has. They couldn't even organise a website. We don't have much more confidence in the ACCC either. They just gave them new penalties of $100 million, and no point. The ACCC doesn't even understand that there's a secondary market. Bowen, Albanese couldn't understand. They were saying, we've got plenty of supply. Well, they do, but that was being held back and it wasn't being given to where it was. And Chris Bowen has had powers from the very first day to know exactly where every litre of fuel was. He has the power to push that, if he sees that there are gaps, to force these fuel companies to send fuel into where there is shortages. He has those powers at his disposal. He did not use it because he did not understand that there was a problem in regional Australia. And if there's a problem in regional Australia, that means you got a problem with your food supply, your food security. Because if we don't have fuel, we don't produce your food. And that means, and the truckies don't have fuel, that means it doesn't come from a paddock to your plate. And this is where they haven't understood it. The temporary support they've given, yeah, okay, I get it. So we need to make sure that's not inflationary, and that's why you need offsets. But I think what we need to do is lean further into the transport sector. I think there is a huge vulnerability. And I think the farming sector is now getting the supply. Fertilisers and ag inputs are a concern for us in agriculture. I think the fuel supply is being worked out, but there's a big problem for our transport sector. They are being squeezed in the middle. And there is a real issue that, and I just saw in the news this morning, another transport company has gone into
in the Northern Territory. Yeah.
So this is because they're being squeezed. They're effectively the middle guy, and they're getting all the prices being put on them, all the costs being absorbed on them, and then they're getting squeezed on both sides to actually absorb and to carry most of that themselves, and they can't. And they're already on their knees because this has been happening for a long time. So when we think about if we're going to give support, and there was 26 cents a litre through the excise and some road user charge, there is a real need that if we are serious, we probably need to focus more of the financial support towards the transport sector that then also alleviates their costs, alleviates everyone's costs. That's not inflationary because that's through the supply chain. Now, if you talk about keep giving an extra 26 cents to households every 3 months, that can have an inflationary impact and push up interest rates and then we're in a real mess. But putting it into the supply chain that actually reduces the price of the supply chain, takes the pressure off our trucking companies and keeps them turning, is where I think most of our support should go. And then basically, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in the Straits of Hormuz. Trump's talking about blocking it himself now. This is a fluid situation. That's not, and I do acknowledge that's not the Albanese government's fault. They're trying to work through that. This is a crisis, but their job is about making sure we continue to get supply, that prices are being watched, and that the suppliers are acting in a conscionable way, and that particularly these smaller wholesalers, independents in regional Australia are being protected by the ACCC, and that is not something I have confidence in just at the moment.
Tell me, what have you learnt about Donald Trump through all of this? The Financial Times and the financiers in America gave him the acronym TACO, Trump always chickens out. It makes a big bluster, massive threats, and then uses that as a way of negotiation. People are aware of this now. Are you concerned that he won't chicken out and bomb people into oblivion? What do you make of it? I'm interested to know.
Yeah, look, and I think the one thing you can say about President Trump, he's been consistent and being inconsistent. And
it's so hard to read.
He's a disruptor. Well, he's a disruptor. And this is the problem, is that I think that this has been egged on by Israel. I think my take on this is I think Israel have seen that there's 2.5 years left of the Trump administration. They had attacks.
Well, less really. If you look at the midterms and the polls, he could be a lame duck in November.
Exactly. And so I think what Netanyahu's seen as an opportunity, that they've gone in, they've gone after Hamas, they're going after Hezbollah. Iran is the sponsor of much of that terror for Israel. So Israel, I suspect, has Netanyahu's basically pushed Trump into this and said, well, you got 2.5 years left. I'm going to be dealing with an administration in 2.5 years that may not be as supportive of us going in and cleaning out these terrorist organizations and Iran. So let's go in and clean them up now. I think they've underestimated Iran and particularly the Straits of Hormuz, because all they have to do is drop down a couple of mines in the Straits, and no boat wants to go through that.
No.
So what they've done is they've effectively underestimated what Iran can do. Secondly, more worrying is they've probably put in the minds of the Iranians that they actually have more power than what most people think now, because they're seeing what's happening with the disruption of fuel supply around the world. So it's a real wake up call. And I think they probably thought US and Israel thought we'll go in, we'll clean this up in a week or two and we'll be out. It hasn't worked like that. Because the Iranians have been fighting for thousands of years, so it's not their first rodeo. So I think there's some real concerns, and now he's got a timeline, as you've just said. So in November, the midterms come up. He's not up for election, but every 2 years, the Senate and the House, the Congress, which their House of Representatives, goes up, and if he loses control of that, he only has executive power. Now, executive power only goes so far. It's like here in Australia. Executive power, cabinet can make so many decisions. And then at certain levels, it has to go through and get legislative approval. And there's always oversights too here in Australia by what we call a disallowable instrument. A minister, when I was minister, I could sign an instrument and say I've got the power, but the Senate could actually disallow it.
That's
they could
right.
vote to disallow it. So there was checks and balances, and there is there. So if he loses control of that, he has a problem. I think the Republicans over there will be watching this carefully, because they want this sorted so they can get back to the domestic issues to try and salvage themselves. The polls aren't looking good for him over there. It also means they've got problems if they want to hold on to the White House after Trump, is they need to sort this out. And it's a bit like Trump the first time round. He didn't get over COVID. COVID got rid of him because effectively he didn't take it seriously enough. And, we saw what we saw here. Governments around the world fell after COVID if they didn't get on with the job. So this is where I think Trump's got some political reality hitting him fair between the eyes, and he's a deal maker. I suspect he'll be here. This is now more imperative for him to get a quick deal than it is for Iran, because he has a political imperative, whereas they don't. And this is the issue, is that they're a totalitarian regime. They can do what they like, whereas he's got a limited time and he's got democracy. That means that he's got to get his skates on and get it sorted quickly. Otherwise, there's going to be a consequence for the Republicans and for a change. And that's what I suspect most of the world's waiting and seeing, is they're waiting to see what happens, and there'll be a new administration in 2.5 years' time, and it may be only 6 months that you could see a big change, which I think probably is what you're going to see in 6 months.
Interesting stuff. I know you're going to go. Last question. Back to domestic issues. Today, the federal government's facing criticism after spending $20 million on a fuel-saving campaign. They're trying to encourage Australians to reduce driving and conserve petrol. $20 million for a Save Petrol campaign. What do you make of this?
It's a joke. You only have to go to the bowser and see the price to realise that you're going to try and save every litre of fuel that you put in the car. You don't want to fill it up. The price is doing the job for them. I was in Dirranbandy and St George on the weekend. It was $3.40 a litre for diesel. So if that doesn't say to you, don't drive as much or drive only what you need to, I don't know why you need $20 million to educate people on it. The price is doing that at the Bowser. It's educating people pretty severely. So, I mean, this is just a vanity project for Albanese to say, I'm doing something, I'm in control. I don't think we need to spend $20 million on it. He can do other things. It's more important, and it probably, it costs him a lot to go over to these countries. That's money better spent than spending $20 million on an ad campaign Australians already know the answer to, which is, I can't afford to fill it up, so I'm not going to drive anyway. I mean, let's get serious about this. This is Australian taxpayers' money. We should be better with using it, and spending it on $20 million worth of ads is ridiculous.
I lied. I didn't actually deliberately lie. Something else has popped into my head. Just because everyone I speak to says, why can't we be self-sufficient? Why can't we drill our own oil, refine it, and be completely self-sufficient? Because we are so vulnerable because we're girt by sea. And I get that. But if we did open refineries, if we did explore for oil, if we did drill, if we refined it here, if we were completely 100% self-sufficient, how expensive would that petrol be? Would it be $4 or $5 or $6 a litre?
Yeah, and this is, I mean, we've got the raw resource. This is the problem of an all renewables energy grid. So to be competitive globally, you're in a global market, and you can't run away from that. The world's moved past it, and to say you're not, you put your head in the sand. The reality is, to compete internationally, the biggest inputs is your energy cost and your wages. Now, no government's going to reduce the wages of their citizens. That reduces their standard of living. So that's political suicide. But what you can do is have competitive energy. And one of the things we do have, being here, is we do have all our energy. We have a lot of coal, we have a lot of uranium, a lot of gas, and we have renewables, but renewables can't do it all. So just think in the last 2 years, the Australian taxpayers, put out about $7-8 billion worth of subsidies to keep Tomaga going, to keep Whyalla going, to keep Mount Isa, to keep Gladstone smelters going, to keep heavy industry going. You can't refine oil here with an energy grid that we've got that's going now above 50-odd% renewables. You need baseload power. I mean, Tomaga alone needs 950 megawatts of coal and gas every year to keep it going. To go to renewables, you need 3 gigawatts, more than 3 times the energy generation, with batteries that don't even exist that last longer than 2 hours. So you've got to be realistic. We can have cheap, affordable power if we're prepared to actually put it in, and get away from this ideology. You won't be self-sufficient and refining, oil here unless you can compete globally. We can compete if we have cheap energy. That's the only competitive advantage we've got. And we've got the resource. It's like anything else. You're not going to have smelters. You're not going to have any of this stuff, because government has to keep subsidising it. Ultimately, subsidies don't work, because that's your money, and your money runs out. And that's what's happening. Your money is running out, and he's coming after more of your money to try and keep it going. You were promised a $275 reduction in your energy bill last year off your 22 bill prices, but they've gone up by $1,300. So, and he forked out $6 billion in rebates to try and cover over the cracks of that one as well. So, you just can't keep spending this money. At some point, you've got to have the courage to face up to the fundamentals. Physics and economics will catch up with you every time. And that's what's happening here in Australia. Physics is catching up to us. We can't keep these heavy industries going on renewables. And economics is catching up, because your energy bill keeps going up and your cost of living keeps going up. Energy is the economy, and we're getting done over. So great to think about drilling for oil, but you got to refine it. And to refine it, you got to have energy, affordable energy, and we don't have that. And that's what we could have if we had the courage to face up to say, we've stuffed it and we can fix it if we can do it now.
David Littleproud, always good to hear from you. Our man on the inside, David Littleproud, former leader of the Nationals. And David, you take care. And daylight saving, eh? We'll see what we'll see where it goes. We'll see what the folks have to say. Okay, I'll tell you this now. You're right. Every Queenslander will say, "Piss off, leave us alone."
Oh, not in Southeast Queensland.
Not in Southeast Queensland.
Yeah, the real Queenslander. Yeah.
What did you say, Gympie?
Yeah, well, basically, if you're outside Southeast Queensland, we think there's 2 states. The real Queensland is everything outside Southeast Queensland. Southeast Queensland is sort of the Gold Coast, Sunshine Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Ipswich and Toowoomba. Everyone else is, we believe we're Queenslanders. We believe they're Southeast Queenslanders. Anyway, I think most of those Southeast Queenslanders will be running for it. You'll get plenty of calls from them, but I suspect everyone outside will be saying, no, get stuffed.
I remember we used to have to go through tick gates, and if you're going over
that's right.
You had to hand in your fruit. You probably still do. You do. Yeah. Well, the next thing you know, you guys will be wanting to issue separate passports.
Secede, yeah. Secede like Western Australia. No, we're not. We'll stick with this because otherwise you might take State of Origin off us, and we need a win every year.
Oh Jesus! How good is State of Origin? How good is it? We'll talk about that another day. I'll let you get on with your day. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me,
David Littleproud, our man on the inside.
They brighten my day, got the bluesy rhythm, but it's swinging my way. Oh, I got the Luke Bona blues, but they're the kind that chase away the gloom. Tapping my feet, smiling wide, happy blues.
Well, it's been a while since I've spoken to Trevor Long, our tech expert, EFTM, everything for the man. You've got to go to his podcast and go to his website to get all the information, because information keeps changing every day. It's an exciting world in which he lives. In fact, he's always lived in a very exciting world. He's done a few things, but he's followed his passion with technology, and he's very, very good at it. And he joins us again. You see my little sign that Kelsey got?
Oh, look out. You're all over it.
Look, I got to duck my head. We've got to fix it.
Got to realign it.
Yeah, you can tell Kelsey, okay?
Yeah, no, I'm not getting involved at all.
No, but listen, Trevor, it's good to see your face, mate. You've been all over the place. What have you been up to?
Yeah, just working hard, mate. Just trying to
Keeping
stay
the dream
in
alive.
touch with everything, keep the dream alive, and juggle life, family, work, and commitments. It's a daily grind. And I have no assistance. I keep wanting someone to be here, but I can't afford anyone to help me. So that's what it is. I just, do my own thing.
Well, let's see how we go for time, because I know you're very busy, and you are exclusively on the Triple M radio network, and you've got a million stations that want to talk to you today. So thank you so much. I went down to the phone shop the other day to get an account fixed, and as you know, I have a Galaxy Samsung, and I saw a Galaxy Samsung at the Optus store with the fold-in half phone, and it was so impressive. And I said, I want one. Not that I need one. I can't use the one I've got. And it was $3,000 or something. But gee, it was flash. And now looks like Apple will do the same. We'll talk about that. I want to talk to you about the EV crisis. Is there one? Can we, with the petrol crisis, the fuel crisis that the world is seeing right now, there's a flock of people going to get EVs and hybrids. And I get that, but can the country really run? I mean, if every car on the road was an electric vehicle, do we have the chargers? Do we have the power and the grid to charge them? I know out west, I know someone at Broken Hill, I know someone at Dubbo, and a lot of the chargers there are run by diesel.
Yep.
Which is...
That's how you create power. That's how you generate power.
It's a fossil fuel. It's charging the cars. But I feel good about myself. I'm driving an environmental...
No, but that's not why people buy electric cars. Like, people say to me, oh, yeah, you plug it in, it's cold. I don't give a shit. It doesn't worry me. I'm not buying it to save the world. I'm buying it because it's a better car. And I don't have to worry about fuel prices fluctuating every 3.5 minutes.
But
I didn't buy an electric car to save the world. So give me all the diesel-powered generators you can get. Like, that's the funny thing. It's not a green conversation. It's simply a drivetrain conversation.
Well, you want to go with that first? Because
you started it.
He didn't start the fire. We can go with that in just a second. But the whole world has been very excited about Artemis II, except me.
Isn't it cool?
Oh,
really? You're not into it?
But I want you to excite me.
Because you've seen men walk on the moon.
In second grade, Mrs. Bailey's class, Eleanor Primary School. And
I think that's what it is. And
every time I go to vote, I look up at that same classroom and a cacophony of memories come back. I remember it like yesterday, and I got excited about that. And this one didn't do it for me. They didn't go to the moon.
It didn't do it for me until they were way out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, it's another rocket. Who cares? I see these things all the time. It didn't feel that. But then I went, oh, wait, so these guys have gone further than ever before. It's a slightly different mission. And also, it's a stepping stone. But it's weird, isn't it, that we're getting excited about a stepping stone to something that we've already done. You know,
But
like in
we've sent pods to
2028,
Mars.
in 2 years, in 2028, we're going to try and land on the moon again. So we're going to get if we got this excited about going around the moon, imagine how excited the world's going to be about going to the moon, right? So I think it is weird that we're overexcited about it, but the fact is, mate, it's an unbelievable feat of every part of life, science, engineering, everything. It's phenomenal that we could send people that far away and bring them back safely and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's the excitement of it. But then the nerd in me was sitting there, and I think the photography is amazing. They took big Nikon cameras up. They took some amazing photos of the moon, both before and after they kind of went around it. But then there was these photos that were of the they look like selfies, right? They look like selfies. And I looked at them. This is probably a week ago now at the time of recording, and I thought it's a strange. It doesn't look like it was taken on a big expensive Nikon camera. And so I'm scouring through, and this is early in the morning, so it was before it kind of really came out. But I'm scouring through the Instagram account of NASA, and someone commented on the photo and said, "What camera was this taken on?" And NASA replied, "iPhone 17 Pro Max." And I went, "Are you kidding me?"
Product placement.
But here's the thing. Apple said nothing. In fact, Apple CEO Tim Cook and his senior vice president of marketing, Greg Joswiak, only yesterday, so on the weekend Australian time, acknowledged that those photos existed by saying, "Congratulations to the Artemis crew. It's amazing," and so excited that they took the iPhone further than it's ever been before. And I think that was them going, let's just wait until they're safe back home before we say anything. But everything I've found about this is this was not product placement. This was not a sponsored thing. This was essentially NASA. You know, they took a bunch of phones. They tested a bunch of phones. They tested their durability and a bunch of different things, whether or not the glass shatters and, because that could be extremely dangerous, all those kind of things. And they chose the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So NASA didn't go to Apple and say, give us 6 free iPhones. They just went and found what they felt was the best phone there. Now, they also had some other phones and tablets, so it wasn't exclusively an Apple thing. But the fact is that these astronauts, because then and this is nerdy, but NASA uploaded all the photos to what's called a Flickr account, Flickr being like a photo library site, and that allows you to tag exactly what lens and details of specifications were used to take the photo. It was the front-facing camera. So on a phone, you've normally got a really big, expensive camera on the back. That's the one you take the best photos with. And then you've got the little tiny one on the front of your camera, which you take your selfies with. And they're never the best cameras. Those photos taken of if there's an astronaut and then the Earth behind them through the window, those photos were taken on the front-facing camera of an iPhone 17 Pro Max. And, mate, they look magnificent. And by the way, Australia's in shot. How cool is it? Australia is in shot during those selfies.
And I don't want to downplay Australia's part, but we played a fairly important part in all of this, didn't we?
Just like we always have.
Like we did in 1969.
Exactly. Just as we did in the 60s, it required our satellite-based stations to bounce the signal around because, when you're in the different parts of space, you have different, line of sight to different places. Australia plays a huge role in bouncing that signal around and making sure that Houston can communicate with Artemis II in this case. So it's super. I'm with you. I don't quite understand the excitement, but it's exciting that they did it again. And it will be exciting for our kids to see, and I didn't see, I'm not old enough, Luke, to have seen man walk on the moon. So I am excited for that to happen in a couple of years. But I think it's more exciting that we're now talking about it as a mission to Mars. That's a stepping stone to Mars and what might be next after that. And frankly, I'm excited that it's not Elon. So,
well, you got very excited about SpaceX when they launched the rocket and it landed standing up.
Come on.
That looked
That's
cool.
unbelievable.
That looked cool.
It's even better when it's 2 boosters come off the main one and then they land simultaneously on separate. Oh, mate, come on.
That's
the coolest thing.
That really was impressive. But I guess I was exactly the right age in 1969. And let me just say this. So I was 7.
Jeez, you are old. Oof.
I was born in 62, but I started school a year earlier. I started at 4. But I remember it because we had done school project after school project leading up to it. And we had models and paper things that you had to cut out and put the Apollo 11, the Eagle pod together, not the pod that landed on the moon. And we knew the astronauts' names and their backgrounds. And we were part of that exciting lead-up journey. So when it happened in that classroom, they unfolded the doors so that 2 classrooms joined up, black and white telly up in the corner. We knew exactly what the importance of what we were watching, so it wasn't lost.
And, you know, my biggest challenge with the last kind of 2 weeks or a week or so on the internet has been just the absolute nut jobs. Just nut jobs. Oh, this isn't real. Why is this happening? Because it's conspiracy theorists, mate. It is. What I wish someone had created in the last 2 weeks was a company that could scour the internet for anyone that makes comments about this being fake and put them in a bucket so that I could turn a button on my computer that says, just don't show me these nut jobs. I think the internet would be a better place. The world would be a better place without those nut jobs. It just muddies the whole conversation for there to be any airtime given. And I mean airtime. I mean, you shouldn't be allowed to publish that kind of rubbish. It's so frustrating to see people talk it down, even though I'm happy for me not to be excited. Like, why are we doing this? Boring, whatever, waste of money, all that kind of stuff. Do that. But don't tell me it's not real. Don't tell me that didn't just happen.
Well, do you know what? I'll invite you, and I don't know what your schedule is, but we're doing another live Bonafide podcast on YouTube and wherever else we go. Again, this Thursday, and the vice captain of the Man Cave, Adam McDonald, will be there. And we've got Scotty Phillips, he's a lot of fun, and Scotty will join us. Adam was a firm believer that 20th of July 69 was all faked, done in the studio. He's one of them.
Are you kidding?
I had Dr. Carl Kruznicki on live with Adam back in the Triple M days, and Dr. Carl had him on toast. The vice captain had nothing, but still believed it. Well, then, at Evans Hastings, where he's general manager, they got these original glass slides that NASA had taken up for auction. Big.
Wow.
Yeah. So Adam then, he changed his mind. He said, yeah, it was real. Now he's going, oh, I don't know if they were real. So he's gone back again. Oh, please, someone help me with this guy. He's a good mate.
Houston.
Jeez.
Go to Houston. It's unbelievable.
Have you
the thing that killed them, the NASA, the Johnson Space Center in Houston is unbelievable. Like the size of the rocket, the Saturn V rocket, you can't imagine it until you stand next to it. They have an unbelievable tour you can do of mission control where they've made it so you can sit in the. If you've watched Apollo 13, you'll know the room with the red seats where the family sit and look over it and all that. That room is there, and the seats are still original. It's like you got to be careful in there. And then the entire mission control area is historically kind of accurate of the day. It hasn't been improved. It's kind of archived. And then they run through this kind of rehearsal, not rehearsal, but replay of the events. Yeah. And you can kind of watch it all happening. And it's a beautiful historical thing to see. The rockets are unbelievable. I'll tell you why I think conspiracies exist around the moon. Because in the 60s, you only had so much live vision. There was obviously live vision coming from and to and da-da-da. But when you're a newsroom and you're sitting there, okay, we're going to be on air for 6 hours. How are we going to fill this time? What they did was they went to NASA, and there was a set. There was a place where they had a fake moon and a rover, where what they did was they reconstructed essentially the timeline of everything that would happen. So at this time this will happen, and they filmed it. And so I think that the television coverage of the day that was created to theatrically present to people what was happening without actual live pictures, because the pictures were delayed or they were in a transit and they weren't actually currently had anything to talk about. I think all of that recreation stuff is what created the stupidity around it's not real, because of course we recreated images of it, but the frigging thing happened, and there's real images of that. It's just so annoying. Well, it bugs me so much.
Well, as I said, we're live on Thursday. And you are invited to come on.
What time? Because I'm going to a wedding in the country on
7:30 a.m. 7:30 a.m.
I might be up for that. It could happen.
Kelsey and I start at 7, and then we invite Adam and Scotty on at 7:30, and we go for an hour. And we have a lot of fun. You've been an integral part of the Man Cave.
Bring it on.
But if you can't, I know you're either busy with family, Triple M, or Channel 9, or all of it. And if you don't come on, I know you're not brushing me. You've got other commitments, but I'd love you to come on.
I'll do my best. Yeah, Thursday morning. I'm pretty sure we don't leave till lunchtime. So
that would be great. I think also, if your brain can't get around something, you think it must be fake. And there's
I think
the
that's
question,
true. Yeah.
And if why were there photos of the pod? Why was there footage?
Who
of
took
that?
this photo?
Who took that photo? The shadows in the wrong spot. The flag was moving. There shouldn't be any atmosphere or wind, and then they've explained that. Stanley Kubrick did the whole thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what? In order to have a conspiracy that big, plenty of people would come out and say, I was on the set. Or
Mate, it's like 9/11. Seriously. Come on. There's 3,000 people dead, and you really think the government was involved in that? Come on. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be someone that doubts those kind of things, I think. But anyway.
You would remember this. You and I were both at 2GB, and I'm pretty sure, Trevor, it was 2001 or 2002, and I interviewed on a Saturday morning Bud Aldrin.
Yeah.
He was in Australia. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I've got a photo with him. He was at an Xbox event.
Okay, and I spoke to one of my all-time heroes, Neil Armstrong. There's Peter Brock, Neil Armstrong, and Muhammad.
You're
Muhammad
a simple
Ali,
man.
Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Bud Aldrin, Edwin Aldrin. And I spoke to him, and he just has no time for it. In fact, he punched a reporter, didn't he?
Oh, really? Wow. And as he bloody well should. As he bloody well should. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
You got the photo with Buzz Aldrin. And
I wish I could find it.
Well, my interview with him was over the phone.
Oh, right. Yeah. So I went to an event.
Oh,
it was an Xbox event. I don't know why he was involved, but, there was an event. But, yeah, I've got a great photo of me and Buzz Aldrin just sitting there. It's unbelievable.
Don't start.
And here's the thing, mate. I don't take celebrity photos. I just don't. All the years working at 2GB, to be honest, I never liked the idea of the producers and the staff just all standing there getting photos with people who just come on the radio. I just never loved it. And so, like, when I walked Michael Richards from Seinfeld, Kramer, into the building and up to the lift and forgot to press 1 because I was so nervous and it went all the way to Nova, and then I pressed it and took him to interview with Ray Hadley, and then walked him out. I didn't ask for a photo once. Because it was kind of like a respecting. I felt like it was intrusive, and it felt awkward when people did ask. So, I have very few celebrity photos, despite having met some really cool people. But I think it was one of those things. I was at a PR event, and so someone said, should we get a photo? And he'd probably taken a photo with everyone who'd interviewed him. So, it was easy. But, I'm pretty glad I have that.
Well, I'm really lucky to have the job and had the job that I had, because I met plenty of celebrities and I got some photos, but I didn't take one of them. Our mate Rob Locke used to take them.
Yeah. Most of the photos of me doing anything now are Rob Locke, because he's with me all the time doing stuff. Yeah.
But Rob saw the importance of preserving the moment, and he would send me these photos, and I've lost so many. I never took one, but I didn't have a smartphone that could take these photos. I didn't carry a camera with me. I didn't have a smartphone, you see. Anyway, that's another topic.
It was September 2010 that I met him.
Yeah. And
2010 it was. Yeah, 2010.
Anyway, I remember I was doing weekends on 2GB and I spoke to him on the phone. And Rob Locke definitely would have taken a photo of that.
Yeah. If only things were digital back then.
Hey. So, was it a success? Was it worth the hype?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think if you've got an opinion that it was not a success, then you're never going to believe it was a success. But the fact is that they pulled that off. They met all the mission goals, and we've got amazing photos of the dark side of the moon and all that kind of stuff. So they've proven that this new rocket, this new capsule, and all those things can work. And now it's just a matter of let's land on the bloody thing again, can we? Isn't it funny how, though, like the stories are, and NASA's talking about having a base on the moon and stuff, and that's the kind of thing I remember there being stories of back then. It's like, are we having the same conversations? A base on the moon and all that kind of stuff?
But you know what would happen? They'd find precious minerals on the moon, and we would frack the hell out of it, and it'd probably crack in half and break up, knowing us. Oh, stop. You bastard. There he is, the second man on the moon.
Yeah.
Michael Collins, of course, had to stay up in orbit in Apollo 11. It was the Eagle pod that landed, and he didn't get. But there you are, the second man on the moon. You bastard! You bastard!
Good times.
Hey, listen, the EV surged. Not surprising.
It's interesting. I'll say to you though, I don't think we've seen even the start of it. Because there's big reports, and you'll talk to James Ward about this because he knows more than I do. I was with him on Friday down at the Melbourne Motor Show. But the March sales figures for EVs were 14.5% of all cars sold were EVs, total sales were in decline. So therefore, there was a decline in overall sales, but still an increase in EV sales. So talking nearly 16,000 EVs were sold in March. But I don't believe that that's fuel crisis driven. I think most of those were pre-existing orders that just got delivered and things like that because we're seeing a growth. I think April, the numbers will be spectacular. I think May, there'll be a huge dip because they just can't keep up with supply. And I think June will be off the charts. I was at the Melbourne Motor Show and I was talking to a guy called Dean, who's the marketing manager for Kia. And we were looking at their electric cars. And I own a Kia electric car. I own 2 electric cars and I host an EV podcast. So I should be very clear. I'm all in. Dean said to me, he said, mate, on an average weekend, Kia sells 10% of its vehicles are EVs, right? So just on an average weekend across the year. Last weekend, so 2 weekends ago at the time of recording, 48% of cars sold at Kia dealerships were electric. Mate, to go from 10% to 48% sales is insane. So can you just imagine what that was like at, these startups, BYD and Geely and Zeekr and all this kind of stuff? It's pretty remarkable. So, people are going, hang on a minute. If Donald Trump can do something and my petrol prices have gone up and therefore, your annual budget for fuel just went from, $3,000 to $4,000. That's $1,000 a year. And when I say to people, guys, it's not about being zero cost because, I'm lucky I got solar. My wife's at home during the day, so we charge our car pretty much 90% of the time on solar. It's free. But I did the numbers on a Toyota Prado diesel, right? And I looked at the tank size, the fuel economy, and all that kind of stuff. Now, you'll get 1,100 kilometres of range from a diesel Prado. And I went, okay, let's call it 1,200 because on a good day in the right circumstances. And I don't have the numbers in front of you, but off the top of my head, it was 32 cents per kilometre to fuel that car. My big Kia EV9, which is a similarly sized car, has a 99 kilowatt hour battery and can do 550 k's range. On a good day, 600, but let's just call it 450. Let's go low. If I was to charge publicly, so go to I don't have a charger at home, I don't use solar, I just go to a public charger and plug in, it was something like a 12 cents per kilometre. So we're talking a third of the price. If I was to charge at home, plugged into the power point using the grid at not the best time of day, so, 30 odd cents per kilowatt hour, it was like 8 to 9 cents per kilometre. And of course, if I use solar, 0. At every point, it's cheaper to run an electric car per kilometre. At every point, by many, many times, many times cheaper. And so if you're looking at your budget going, it's very, very expensive, this fuel stuff, and you're in the market for a car or your lease is up or whatever that moment is that you're able to make the transition, because obviously that's the big stumbling point. There's an upfront cost. You've got to buy a new car. Yeah. You're mad. You are mad not to be considering an electric car right now. You're absolutely mad, especially if you've got 2 cars. If you've got 2 cars, not a bad idea.
I'll tell you why. We went on a road trip and we road tested the Kona.
Does Nikki have a car?
Yeah, she has a hybrid, a Lexus NX300.
Yeah, so this is the thing. You're a 2-car house, right? In my mind.
Ask me what the other one is.
Yeah, I know what yours is. So you're the kind of household that you talk about the Kona and tell me that story in a second, but you buy the fully electric Kona and that's your about town, up the coast, down the coast car, right? And then when you want to go 1,000 kilometres, mate, and you don't want the drama of planning a trip, take the friggin' Mercedes. Fine, go for your life. And then you don't have the drama of queuing up for charge or whatever it is. But around town, mate, the Hyundai Kona is a cracking example of a car that it's a $9,000 a premium to buy the electric version, because that's a car that the exact same car is available in petrol, hybrid, or electric. And to go from petrol to electric is $9,000. That $9,000 you get back in 3 years, maybe 4.
But not in resale.
Another bullshit argument. Anyway, talk to Pickles. Pickles is selling EVs better than they've ever sold them before because battery health. I'll get you a number for Brendan Green at Pickles. He's a top bloke.
Okay.
And they do physical battery health tests on cars.
Yes.
So one of the big myths is the batteries degrade, they're shit, and after 8 years you've got to replace them. Complete bullshit. Because what we don't know is how they last, and they're lasting way better than anyone thought they would. Way better.
Well,
and
that
so
makes me
actually,
happy. Okay. Because we took it from Sydney to Dubbo, and we stopped off at the Motor Racing Museum in Bathurst, of course.
Of course.
2 charges at the Motor Racing
So
Museum.
you took the fully electric one?
Fully electric.
Yep, to Dubbo. Yep.
We charged it here overnight, 100% when we left Northern Beaches, got to Richmond, 82.
Yeah.
Shitting myself, got to Bathurst. They had 2 charges at the Motor Racing Museum at Mount Panorama.
Yeah.
Only 2, and none of them were fast chargers. I mean, who's going to stay at the Motor Racing Museum for fucking
but in
3
town,
hours?
there's 6 Tesla bays, there's
down at McDonald's,
6 NRMAs, like there's a bunch of chargers.
Yes, there were fast chargers at the McDonald's, but then we had to get the right app so that the account worked, you'd iron all that out. We just made it to Dubbo, it recharged, and I said I'd never do a long trip in a full EV again. But it's a beautiful car. Let me just get there. It's a beautiful car.
Yeah,
I had destination anxiety.
Yeah,
I'm going to get there.
And that's why I say to people like you, take your fucking petrol car, mate. I don't care. That's good. It's a great car for the trips. We're going to Young on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a Kia EV9.
5 hours.
All five of ours, our family will get in the car, and we've got celiac kids. There's a bunch of we've got to stop at certain places for food. It's not a fun trip for us ever. But we will drive to Goulburn. We'll probably stop at Heather Bray's Pies at Sutton's Forest, get some pies. And then we'll drive to Goulburn, and we will plug in at a Tesla supercharger. And the Tesla superchargers are expensive compared to everyone else, but it's like, I'm going to put premium in the car today, because it's better for the car. It's better. No, it's just faster and better. And there's 20 chargers. Plug in. We will walk from the Tesla charger, which is at the KFC, down to the Big Merino, probably get some snacks at the Servo. I might get Subway for lunch or go to Tapper's Bakery, right?
Good to see the health kick's really working.
And by the time we have all eaten our pies or Subway or whatever we're getting, we get back to the car. It's been there 25 minutes. The car will be back at 80%. We'll get all the way to Young, and we're done. And then when I'm in Young, there's 2 plugs. There's a bunch of the club and everything, but I know there's 2 fast chargers plugs with NRMA, and they're near the main street. So I'll go with my mum. We'll plug the car in. We'll go and do the shopping.
Borough Street.
Yeah. We'll go do the shopping, and I'll get back to the car. It'll be at 100%, and then we'll drive to Goulburn again. We'll charge for 20 minutes, and we'll go home.
You plan a trip. I get
it's not
that,
hard.
Trevor, I get it. What do you make of the photos that came through after Easter of hundreds of cars lining up for limited amount of charges?
Yeah.
And it was a big EVs really worth it. Look at this. People trying to get back from Easter, lines and lines of cars. Now,
I would plan so much differently to those people. First and foremost,
but there weren't enough charges and too many cars.
I saw people queuing up for one charger. You're idiots. Okay? The problem is BP. They put in one charger. Ampol are doing better. There's 6 chargers at their Pheasant's Nest and stuff like that. But in a lot of regional towns, there's just one charger. What's that place where the submarine is? Holbrook. There's one charger. If you're driving to Melbourne, don't stop at Holbrook. That's the dumbest thing you could do. It's fine if you want to see a submarine, but it's not fine if you want to charge your car on a long weekend. What you do is you open your eyes to the wider world. You do more research, you find more apps, and you find out where the most charges are, and you head there. Which is why I say I go to Goulburn, where Tesla has 20 charging bays. And just 30 metres away, there's 2 for ChargeFox. And I'm like, I wouldn't charge there. They're slow, and there's only 2 of them. Come up to Tesla, pay the extra 5-10 cents per kilowatt hour, and get it done faster. So it's about planning, and that's why it's not for everyone. It's tough to understand.
I get it. Yeah, you're getting no argument. It's a drama I would choose not to go through. But it was a beautiful car. Love you, Hyundai Kona. We love it.
Mate,
Kelsey,
well, you know what's interesting? I asked them about the March sales numbers. I asked Hyundai about the Kona numbers, and again, I don't have them on me, but I wondered what the split was. It was only 10% electric in March.
What happens when we have 500,000, 600,000 electric cars on the road? Everyone's got rid of their combustion engines, and we just don't have enough power to put into the grid.
We do. That's a myth. It's just it's something that the opposition just say. It's not proven. There's plenty of power on the grid. You talk to the power companies, there's excess power on the grid too much now. And a lot of the you got to understand, when they build charging stations, they do think about them as green, right? Most of the charging companies think about them as green. So they actually build them with battery and solar and things. So essentially what these companies do is smart. They take advantage of all that excess solar that exists in the day, and that's when they fill up the batteries for their charging stations and places like that. There's plenty of power in the grid. And what happens is you're getting a fluctuation. Now, some charging companies are now charging per time of day. So if you do choose to charge in the evening, you'll pay a higher cost per
surge pricing, if you will.
Yeah, in the same way that you do at home, because you know what, there's more demand in the grid. So what they want to do is they want to point you towards certain times a day. Fact is, most people when they're driving, they charge during the day. When they stop at a public charger, they're charging during the day. There's plenty of power in the grid during the day. Plenty.
Should I get we have solar panels, and it's
yes. If you can afford it, get a battery.
Are they
if you
safe?
can afford it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Don't get me started about safety. Just quickly, I want to whinge about something. I was on hold, but I was the next guest on Chris Kenny's show on Sky News a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to talk about the children's social media ban, and he had on Tim Blair talking about stuff, and he was just so anti-EV. I was yelling at my office, just yelling, because he said something. He called the BYD, which is a Chinese brand, he called them the burn your driveway, which is just a horrific thing to say when there's zero evidence of electric vehicles being fire risks at all. In fact, they are per car, like per 100 cars, they are safer than diesel and petrol cars in terms of fires. Secondly, they go, and then there was a Tesla dealership that was on fire. It was arson. Someone freaking firebombed the joint, and the car's batteries did not burn. The cars did not thermal run away. It's like how this kind of shit is so annoying in the world.
That's like Sarah Hanson-Young and the Greens and the environmentalists blaming climate change on the bushfires when 80% of them were deliberately lit.
Exactly.
Do you remember that?
So
anyway.
Let me be clear to everyone listening. I'm not saying everyone get an electric car. I'm not saying everyone get a battery. I'm saying there are savings to owning an electric car, and there are absolute savings to having a battery on your home, but it's expensive to do. So if you've got the money available to put a battery on your home, there is government rebates still for a start, but there are huge savings on your energy bills. So you have to look at it as a 5-year plan. If I'm prepared to spend this money today, in 5 years I'm going to be better off. It's not a tomorrow thing. It's a 5-year thing. With cars and batteries, it's a 5-year thing.
Does it add value to your house?
I don't think so.
Right.
I'd like to think it does, but you know, does it real? I mean, if I put it this way, if I was the buyer, yes. Do you know what I mean? Like, but if my wife was the buyer, no.
Yeah, it's like, does a swimming pool add value to your house? Well, only if you want a swimming pool.
Yeah. When we last moved, which was 14 years ago now, I remember we each had a make or break list, of this house, are we going to buy this house or not? Yeah. For me, it was, is there a good driveway and is there big pond internet, cable internet? This was before the NBN. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I had the fastest internet. That was the most important thing to me. So today it would be, does it have solar and battery, and how old are those two products? Because if they're 20 years old, I don't want them. I want newer ones. Because then I don't have to put them on. That's a $25,000 cost I don't have to put on. So for me, it adds value, but I don't think in the market it does.
I wanted to talk to you about the Apple fold-out phone, but we haven't got time because I wanted to talk to you about something else. Because you and I often go sideways, and I'm glad we do.
We always do.
Kelsey's fiance Nathan is an IT expert. He develops and invents apps. He's a clever boy.
Legend.
So anyway, we had the internet come to the street, but we never had the fibre optic come into the house.
All right. So you upgraded the fibre?
And we have now. It took a while, and we did it through Optus.
Yep.
The drama we had with Optus, and our phone plans were with Optus, and I said to Nathan, Trevor always liked Aussie, what was it?
Aussie Broadband.
Aussie Broadband. He said, yes, you're with Optus. I agree with Trev. However, Optus, so we've got Nathan, the boy genius, negotiating this with us, and he does it all the time. 2 or 3 times, Optus then tried to sell us a package that we didn't ask for. Nathan's picked them up on it and said, no, this is what we're after. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Then he had to speak to someone else. Again, another upgrade package that we didn't ask for. He eventually got us there. Had it not been for Nathan, Nikki and I would have been up shit creek. We just probably would have gone, whatever. But Nathan got us a really good deal, got us extras thrown in because he persevered and he knew how to play the game. If you don't know how to play the game, you're lost. No. And I'm not bagging Optus, but...
Well, you are. And the question is, why are you still with them? We've been having this conversation forever.
Haven't you and I have had this conversation? You said Aussie broadband.
You are impossible. Honestly.
Don't like
Aussie
change.
broadband. Australian call centre, easy to deal with, great plans, great pricing. You're mad. And they wouldn't have got the upgrade done quicker because it's NBN that does the upgrade, but they would have ordered it correctly and given you what you needed and you would have been sorted. And by the way, you can change whenever you want.
Aussie broadband, Nathan, he's listening.
You can change whenever you want. It's like switching telcos on your mobile phone. You can change whenever you want. But, you know, your loyalty to Optus does go back to Patrick, who's a good...
I was going to mention Patrick, who used to work...
Who is very helpful, and he used to work there, and he now provides kind of tech support to people at home. And, he got you sorted, and so you kind of like them for that.
But without Patrick...
They've got no loyalty.
We were stuffed. And he was on the phone to call centres. He came to our house twice. Really helpful. But even he found Optus frustrating, and he knew him inside out. Kelsey, can you organise Nathan, who's got nothing else to do?
Pick up the phone yourself, you lazy bastard.
I don't know how to do it.
To pick up a phone?
Lost.
That's embarrassing, Luke.
Imagine if Neil Armstrong had a smartphone taking selfies.
Mate.
How good. Those photos from 69.
Someone will find a way to conspiracy theory the selfies on the iPhone as well. Do you know what, though? Imagine
the flat earthers are gone, surely.
I'd love to own one of those iPhones.
How much would they be?
No, the one that went to space.
Yeah, can't we get that?
Well, there's only 3 of them. How many
they're going to make more now. Everyone will want one.
No, but I want the one that went there, like physically this one. Do you know what I'm saying?
What would that be worth? That's
like if I'm NASA, I'm putting those in the museums with the shuttles because I've seen 3 shuttles. There's 4, isn't there? There's 4 left. There's one in Florida I haven't seen.
The shuttles were impressive, and the fact that they could come back in and land.
There's one in. I've seen the one in LA. I've seen the one in New York. I've seen the one in Houston, and there's one down at Cape Canaveral in Florida. I haven't seen that one. I'm ticking off the bucket list.
I was joking before, but I'm not now. So on my bucket list of people to meet, interview and have a photo with, Neil Armstrong's number 1.
Well, you cross that off, mate.
Yeah, well, Jesus Christ is up there too.
Yeah, you can't have a photo with brown bread, but anyway, go on.
Good. By the way, I was about to say, I was planning a trip to the Johnson & Johnson Space Centre. It's apparently well oiled.
Yeah.
I was
Houston, go. It's amazing. You need to stand next to the Saturn V rocket. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Okay, I will. It's an expensive place to go, the US now, and I don't know if I want to go.
Oh, stop.
It's a prick of a place, the US.
It's not a prick of a place. It's completely fine. Just fly. You can fly into Houston on United Airlines. Direct.
Yeah. My daughter works for Qantas, as you know. They fly direct to Dallas. That's a hell of a trip. Anyway, so I've got Neil Armstrong.
Yep.
A bucket list, right?
Done, yep.
Michael Jordan, I don't know if he's in the mood to talk. A lot of them are basketballs. I'd love to talk to Larry Bird, Neil Armstrong. Who's on the? If you could meet any 3 people, dead or alive, interview them, have a photo, who would you pick?
John Farnham.
Yep.
Every day of the week.
Yeah. You're loyal.
Yeah, very loyal. It's funny. I can't think of anyone. I mean, so I've already met Oscar Piastri.
Yes,
Daniel
you have.
Ricciardo.
Would you like to interview Elon Musk?
No, because I would.
Why
he
not?
would walk out. Because I'd call him for his bullshit.
Tell me, what's his bullshit? What's the Elon Musk bullshit that's got you all fired up? I thought you'd be fascinated to talk to him.
I'm fascinated by his brain, but the fact that he allows the rubbish to be on the internet that he allows to be on the internet through Twitter.
Like what?
It's disgraceful.
Give me
it's just the hate, the conspiracy theories, the everything that exists on that platform, the anonymity. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Would you like to interview Bill Gates?
Maybe. I mean, it might be fascinating, but it's not like something. I mean, I can't say, but I do have a pretty big interview in 2 weeks. That's
what? Come on.
No, I can't say, but it's Bill. It's in the sphere of Bill Gates. You know, because I've interviewed Tim Cook, the boss.
You're getting Ghislaine Maxwell. You're getting Bill Clinton. You're getting Bill, Hillary, and Ghislaine Maxwell on.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone that I'm desperate to meet.
What about Steve Jobs?
Because my life is Formula One, and I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of those people. So,
Steve Jobs, wouldn't you have liked to have sat down?
Mate. Yeah, he's dead. So
I said dead or alive.
Yeah, I can't. Like, yeah, it would have been fascinating. So he'd be on the list. Yes, Steve Jobs would be on that list. I've met lovely bloke.
Okay,
but quiet. Alive or dead? Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld. Would you like to interview? Or
I see
Larry David. I'd like Larry David.
No. See, Seinfeld's a good one because I wouldn't want to interview him because he's been interviewed to death.
Yeah.
So
what could I ask him that would
exactly? What can you say that's? Yeah. And I've watched a lot of Jerry. You watch comedians in cars getting coffee. He doesn't suffer fools, right? He doesn't suffer fans and fools. So what I'd want to do is be lucky enough to be at a 5-person dinner table at a restaurant where Jerry Seinfeld was one of the 5, but a happy one of the 5. So he's there with 2 friends who are just unbelievably good friends. So he's there, he's bought in. And the other 2 of us are there kind of as hangers on, but close enough, right?
Watching them riff.
But where it's 5's a number so that you can't not be part of the conversation. And so what you want is for him to go, oh, mate, it was great to meet you. You know, at the end of the night, you're not a fan, you're not interviewing him, you just got to meet him and he liked the conversation and maybe then says we should do an interview or something. Because if you get him talking about cars, he's great.
Yeah.
But the problem is he's very knowledgeable and I don't retain knowledge, so I don't retain stats and facts. So I couldn't tell you about the Porsches that he owns. I just know he owns a lot of Porsches and beautiful ones, you know. So yeah, Jerry, Steve Jobs and John Farnham. There you go. We've nailed it. There's my 3.
Quincy Jones is someone who produced everyone from Sinatra through to Michael Jackson and everybody in between. Quincy Jones.
I feel bad you're only telling me that now after he's dead because I had an opportunity. JBL, he was big with JBL years ago. I watched him. Did he play or did he just come along to an event? I think he came along and played the piano at an event in Las Vegas.
He had a hit with a song called Just Once. You should listen to it. Beautiful voice. Okay. I put you on to Back to the Backwoods, John Farnham from the Uncovered album, and I did it to you live on air. Have you ever heard Farnham sing anything like that? And it was written by Graham Goebel and B. Birtles before he joined LRB.
Yeah.
Is Back to the Backwoods one of the best things you've ever heard?
I wouldn't say best thing I've ever heard because the thing I love about Farnham, I watch a lot of YouTube, I just have it on in the office now and then, is I like him live. So I like hearing him hearing him do like a chain reaction or help with the symphony orchestra. But I like to hear him change the vocals because you know it's just unbelievable. Yeah. He's a magician. So I prefer Farnham live than anything else. Like Billy Joel. Billy Joel live is phenomenal.
Apparently you've got to get him in the right mood because if he doesn't want to talk, it's terrible. But if he does, it's great.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's in a big talky mood these days.
No, not these days.
No.
Trevor Long, we went sideways.
What a shock.
But I've enjoyed it.
Of course he's like, you fucking idiots.
But that's all right. Everything for the man. What do you got coming up?
Big interview in a couple of weeks.
No. With Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, no, just pumping away, mate. Just great content every day in the app. Competitions every day. Every week we give something away on the EFTM app, so download it now.
EFTM. Get the app and listen to it and get into Trevor Long. The invitation's there, live.
Yeah, remind me. Someone send me a note. I'll check.
We'll send you a note.
You and me make your place to be. You will be a little late. Clock at the side, our fate. Not today, not tonight. We will keep and steady.
Well, good day and welcome to another Truckee Tuesday. And Millennial, I'm very excited because we're going live twice this week. Is that correct? What are we doing on Tuesday?
Oh, come on, Luke. You need to read your notes. We're doing Truckee Tuesday live-ish.
On Tuesday.
Well, what are we doing talking to him now for?
Because we've still got an episode to release on the midnight, and then we're doing like a live show on the Monday morning. On the Tuesday morning.
So Triple M used to triple your music. We're tripling your truckies.
Yes, exactly. Because the truckies deserve it.
The truckies do deserve it. Lots to talk about, Rod Hanifey. Welcome to you. Where do we find you today?
Strangely enough, I'm actually in Dubbo, mate. Yes, only this will be the 3 days in nearly 8 weeks, mate. So there has been some big gaps.
Well, welcome home, even if it's just for a short time.
Yes.
Listen, because you travel so much more than anyone I know, What's the petrol and diesel situation this week?
Mate, so far I haven't had any trouble. We know that they've been looking after the trucks. There's been a lot going on. There are still people really hurting. I've seen some press where, the government has done something with the excise. One bloke said that virtually gave him 3 days of breathing space. But passing it on, getting the fuel, there are still people struggling to get fuel in places, although we haven't had any trouble. And I've got to say, Luke, in the last just over 3 weeks now, I've covered between Perth and Innisfail. So that's not a bad thing, probably near half of Australia's circumference.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I pulled up at Clermont the other night to have tea, and a really nice rissole meal there. I had 2 left over and took them for lunch the next day. And there was another driver who had also been to Perth, and he was at Clermont, so he was trying to go nearly as far. There was a third bloke there, and they were both saying they're busy. Our boss says we could use another 10 trucks at the moment. So some people are doing well and flat out and managing to survive. Those that had a fuel levy in place, those that don't, or that have customers who are being recalcitrant. Big word for this time of the morning, and not wanting to pass it on. And I did have, I'm sure I mentioned it last time, a bloke ring me. His boss is charging a fuel levy to their customers, but they're not passing it on. So he's got to decide whether he wants to keep working there, find somewhere else, or go to the point where he actually chases his boss and says, under those fair work provisions that are coming, that you're not doing the right thing. So, but of course, as soon as you do that, well, then you put your job on the line because they're going to turn around and give you a hard time and get rid of you and those sorts of things. So it's not as easy as saying you must pass it on or your boss must pass it on. It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to actually do it and get paid and manage to survive at the moment, Luke.
Well, there you go. Interesting, the word recalcitrant, I had never heard anyone use that word until 1993, and it was Prime Minister Paul Keating. And he was talking about the Malaysian Prime Minister, what was his name? Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. And he didn't go to the APEC summit in Seattle, and Prime Minister Paul Keating referred to him as recalcitrant. And that was the first time I really heard it. Now now we know.
Become
what does
a bit
it
more
mean?
popular.
Dogmatic, argumentative, non-conforming. How's that, Rod?
I like that word.
That's pretty good, mate. Yeah, especially use dogmatic. That's a bit more, I suppose, on-road speak.
Yeah. So anyway, there you are. Kelsey posted a clip from our chat with Travis Sinclair. God, I love Travis Sinclair. We need to get him back on. She posted a clip from our chat with Travis about the pressure of young drivers to work as much as possible despite fatigue. And Kelsey, we've had some feedback. Rod, Brad said 100%. I'm lucky that my company is family owned and backs us drivers when customers mess up. Customer ran over an hour late loading, got a call straight away after I left, told me he got into them for asking me to still hit the early delivery, discussed the agreement with my driving plan, and could not stress enough. If you have any signs or feeling of tiredness, pull up, though you're on the button with the trackers, etc. That was from Brad. Rod?
And, mate, it's been one of those elephants in the room thing. So when you start, they say, be safe, do the right thing, don't drive when you're tired. But how do you find that point at which you should pull up? You don't pull up 4 hours early. You don't pull up when you're feeling fine, because then you can't go to sleep. You've got to drive until, legally, of course, we're covering that, but you've got to drive until that point where you feel tired enough to sleep. Now, it's one thing, if you've got a normal job, Luke, you go home, you have dinner, you talk with the missus, you play with the kids, you read your book, you watch TV, you go to bed. In our job, you pull up somewhere, and it could be the middle of the Nullarbor. It could be in a track park with trucks, a metre either side of you, and you have to manage to get to sleep. Now, if you're not at a point of tiredness that you can simply lay down and go to bed, and we know people vary. Some people can sleep on a barbed wire fence, and some people can't. Some people can't sleep no matter what they do, and that's, of course, insomnia. That's a whole different thing altogether. But in our industry, you don't know whether, Luke, you can drive for 10 hours and Kelsey can drive for 6 and I can drive for 5 and Bill can drive for 18 without simply showing any signs of fatigue. The law is one size fits all. We know that doesn't work. But when you first start, you virtually have to drive to that point of tiredness to find where it is. Now, if you recall, Travis said his sign was his knees knocking.
Yeah.
Now, that's a really handy one to know because that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Most people will yawn. And back in the day, when we had manual gearboxes, many blokes' first sign was they'd miss a gear. You know, they'd be coming into a hill, they'd be slowing down and they wouldn't get it right in because it's not synchromesh, it's a crash box. You've got to match the revs and the speed. And they'd miss a gear and think, I'm getting a bit tired. You know, I'll start looking for a parking bay. But then, of course, the next thing is when you get to that point of tiredness, Luke, where's the next parking bay? You know, do you know every road in Australia? I mean, is it 5 minutes down the road? Yes, I'm safe. I'm sure that I'm going to make it there. Is it 45 minutes down the road and you think, maybe I should have gone to the last one? So we've discussed there is no test yet for fatigue, but there's also no real training other than to learn the signs. And the only way you learn them is to reach them. And what do you do then?
Do you have a trick? If you know you have to sleep because your logbook tells you to, do you count sheep? Do you have a special trick that gets you off to sleep?
Mate, the one thing that I've decided upon and tried many things over the years is I read. Now, we know I listen to audiobooks on the road. That's one thing. And that's while you're travelling along. And they're really good. They can keep your mind active, the same as listening to good podcasts. But I also have a physical book and like I tried a number of things over the years and I couldn't come anything. And I actually read, I listened to a book about sleep. And of course, one of the things they recommend is having a standard nighttime program. Now, again, we've just discussed how hard that is to do, where you are, what you're doing, how hot it is, the noise, how much you've worked, all of those things. So I looked at that and I thought, and I've come up with reading at night. So when I lay down, if I'm not really tired, I might read 10 pages, depending on the book and what it is. And I'm currently reading Blast the Bush. By Len Beadle, is a book about the first atomic blast in Australia, how they set it all up and what was done and all that sort of thing. Very interesting. But then, if I'm really tired, I'll still pick the book up. I might only read a page, eyes will get heavy, off to sleep, bang. But it's funny, I was just commenting, I'm sort of now conditioned to sleeping 6 hours a night. Because we have a 7-hour break. So by the time you pull up, you clean your teeth, you get into bed, haven't got far to go to bed, haven't got far to get up. But I often wake up before the alarm. And because I do that at least 5 to 6 nights a week, I'm sort of now conditioned to it. So, blokes learn to survive. They learn the tips. Travis has got the knocking knees. I've got to say, I suppose, in the past, a lot of blokes smoked. Cigarettes, kept them going, and if they give that up, then they start eating. And yes, I carry snacks, and I find if I'm that little bit doughy, but I've got to keep going, it'll be, some salt and vinegar peanuts or some crackers, or yes, I do eat summer logs or something like that. Occasionally I'll have like a Power B meal replacement bar. No, the bar. The bar. I'm going to try them. Yep, so they're good. But something like that, just to keep you going to that point where, I'm chewing, I'm sort of activated. You might change over from a book that you didn't enjoy to music or something like that to get you to the parking bay to survive. And that's why from the very start, Luke, I've said we don't have enough parking bays because not every bloke knows every road and sometimes it just hits you and you need somewhere to stop.
You'll be pleased to know there's a new supply of Nature Bee products heading your way. Could even be there now.
I did see that it was coming, so thank you very much for that. And it's good because I have been having the shake of a morning. I don't have 2 a day, I have 1. I'm pretty lucky with my weight. But yes, if you're stuck somewhere, and because I like it on milk, I've got to be somewhere where I can rinse my cup out and get it clean. You don't want to leave the sort of dregs in there. But I normally put me 250 mil in, and then I put a bit more milk in and sort of shake it again, get the last of it right out of it. And as long as I'm somewhere where I can rinse my cup out and have it clean for the next day, it's ideal when you can't get decent food And look, back in the day, Luke, people used to have the billy and they'd pull up and have the cup of tea and cook meals. There are still blokes now that have kitchens in their trucks, particularly those that do long haul, because you simply can't buy the food if you're running to Perth or Darwin. But, the days, a lot of blokes still had the little gas mate. So you had the little gas mate single burner cooker and a couple of tins and blokes would cook up a feed and that's those sort of long distance runners still do some of that. But to get the time to do it, Luke, and look, I suppose the one thing occasionally, particularly if you're on those long runs, you'll pull up and there'll be a caravan there. And if you walk over and say good day, they'll generally give you a cup of tea. And it's a good thing to break the ice, to talk to them. I did have an incident on the way to Innisfail. So it's funny, the only two places I've had an issue this week were both in and out of Townsville.
Yeah.
So I went up the centre. I went up through Clermont, up through Belyando, slept just north of there, new parking bay there. That was ideal. And on my way into Townsville, driving along, I've slowly caught up to a caravan with the troopy following behind. And there was another caravan doing 80, managed to get past him. I've come up on the second pair. And as I've sort of closed up, the bloke in the troopy actually called me up.
Troopy? Troopy?
Yeah, a Land Cruiser.
Okay, I didn't know
an old one.
A troopy?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And he actually said, mate, copy there in the blue truck behind the troopy. I said, yeah, mate. He said, we're looking for a place to get you around. And I said, okay, are you travelling with the van? Yes. Now, they were reasonably close together, so I couldn't overtake them one at a time. That makes it hard when you haven't got much room left. But he's called me up. He's told me they're looking for a place. I said, good on you, mate. Now, there's another car's come up behind me.
Yeah.
And we're coming to a blind corner, and he's out just about beside my back trailer. We're coming to the blind corner, car comes the other way, and he ducked in. And I said, well, that was pretty bloody stupid. No comment. I thought, oh, okay, he's not on air, that's fine. So we get down the road. Oh, mate in the troopy says, and I actually called him up. I said, mate, we've got a big long straight here. I said, if you're happy for me to overtake now. He said, yes. So he's slowed down a bit. The caravan's still going hard. The caravan has come back to our channel as well, on Channel 40 on the road. And the caravan, I said to the caravan, I said, mate, are you going to help me and get me round? Oh, yeah, mate, sorry, yep, I'll back off. That's fine. So he backs off. So I go past the two.
Yeah.
We're now coming to the end of this big long straight. And Dick Fabrain's in the ute behind me. He's decided to pass all three of us. So he's out on the wrong side of the road on double lines coming to a blind corner. And I said, look at this friggin' idiot. And, of course, the bloke in the ute comes back, oh, what, mate? And he's on a blind corner. He cannot see round the corner. He's on the wrong side of double lines. He's out beside a B-double. He's overtaken the three of us to the end of this straight. And he's then got to the corner. He said, oh, there's nothing coming. And I said, but you didn't know that when you pulled out. And then, of course, we've got round the corner and a car come the other way. And I said, mate, if that car had been 5 seconds earlier, you'd have been dead. There was nowhere to go. Oh, what's your problem, mate?
Was he online? So he was on the
He was on the radio. He was on the UHF. So he heard me call him a dickhead the first time. So anyway, that's fine. And then on the way out, so I've gone in Innisfail, I've unloaded, come back to Townsville, loaded the next morning. I'm on my way out of Townsville. And there was a triple road train in front of me, plus about 4 or 5 other vehicles, me and another ute behind me. So I know the triple's heavy. He's slow going uphill, but there's nowhere to overtake. I'm sitting back patiently. But we're coming into another blind corner, and there's a shootout beside me. And the truck behind me called me up. He said, look at this dickhead. And he's out on a blind corner, going round to the left, out beside a B-double. Now, he was still there in front of me when we came into Charters Towers, so it gained in nothing. And look, I thought, why? Why do people do stupid shit when they can't see? Like again, Luke, it happened the other day. Another bloke's actually sent me a video. Car followed him on a big, long straight. So there's 4 kilometres of road. Car sitting behind him, and you think, well, he's not going to pass. He must be happy there. That's okay. You get to the end of the straight, and they suddenly go, oh, I should have passed the truck there. I'm going to pass now. And they're coming to a blind crest or a corner, and they've got to get past there at the last second. And I don't know whether people are stupid, whether they don't think properly. They're certainly not taught what to do. And so, mate, I've come out of Charters Towers. I'm sitting back behind old mate in the triple. I know that there's nowhere to go. And eventually I sat a reasonable distance behind. I didn't sit up his arse because that's no good. That doesn't help. But I can't sit 500 metres behind because then when he suddenly calls me up and says, oh, mate, there's a space here, get going, it's going to take me 2 minutes to even catch. So we come out of the other side of Charters Towers and he called up and he said, they're copy behind the triple. Yeah, mate. He said, look, big straight coming up here. When you're ready, give us a bell. So again, I got round him, got on my way, no problem. We did it with communication.
That's it, yeah. Hey, tell me.
With those first one, I was going to say with old mate and the troop in the van, they were actually travelling on 20. And I did say to them, have you considered putting a Channel 40 sign on your van? And they said, yep, we'll give it a thought, mate. So communication is key.
Have you ever had a road blue with someone and they've overtaken you and driven off and you think, thank God, that prick's gone. And then you've both caught up at a servo down the road and it's uncomfortable, a bit awky. Has that ever happened to you?
Not so much in a servo, on the UHF. Again, bloke sitting right up my arse, mate. There's nowhere to pass. Why are you sitting so close? Oh, what are you telling me what to do? I'll do whatever I like. And then a bloke in a car actually stepped in and said, well, geez, I don't know why he's sitting there doing the wrong thing, mate. I don't know why he's got to be so cranky. And, pull up at the servo, mate. I'll sort you out. Yeah, well, good on you, mate. So, look, I understand the frustration and the cynicism of many truck drivers, Luke. We've had that many inquiries and I've written that many emails and letters to people saying, will you please educate drivers about sharing the road with trucks? We've done bugger all. Will you please build us more rest areas? We've done bugger all. Will you please let me put up green reflectors? No, you can't do that either. It's too hard and we won't give you the authority to do it, but we don't give a bugger. But be safe, by the way, and don't drive when you're tired and all those sorts of things. So I understand, blokes, because it is so hard to get people to listen. They don't see the driver in the truck really now. They don't recognise what we do. And look, blokes have said for years, we haven't really explained to people properly what our lifestyle entails so that they can enjoy theirs. And until they have some understanding of it, well, you're just a truck, you're in me way, get out of the way, deliver the freight, want it delivered yesterday for nothing, and, don't slow me down on the highway or hold me up for 4.7 milliseconds.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Rod, your rant last time we spoke was on flashing headlights.
Yes.
Right. A bit of feedback. Drew said, I flashed a car 3 times coming towards me on Saturday night. They wouldn't dim their lights.
Mm-hmm.
It was a police car.
And what happened then?
They turned around and pulled me over for flashing my lights.
Yep.
I then said they had their high beams on and was told they didn't. Lucky I have a dash cam and showed them. Lucky because they would have given me a ticket.
Right, that's interesting.
Isn't
now,
it?
I was travelling one night from from Mungandai. And vehicle coming the other way, really bright highlights, and I flashed him at a distance. I don't flash them at the last second. I'm not that stupid. You got a closing speed of 200 kilometres an hour, and I'm sure you've seen it, Luke, where you flash somebody, they won't dip, and at the last minute, they hit high beam just before they go past you to say, I got you. Now, this vehicle was in the distance. I flashed it 2 or 3 times, and it didn't dip, and I thought, right, either there's something wrong. And, of course, as he's got to me, he actually threw a bottle of water at the truck. Now, it went bang and scared the living crap out of me. And it turned out he had a horse float on the back with 2 big horses in it. That's why the lights were high. Now, again, I don't know that till he's gone past. But I rang the police at Mungandai and I told them what had happened. Now, they wanted to charge this bloke, and it's a felony. It's like, aggravated assault sort of thing in a vehicle. Now, it didn't smash the window. It didn't do any damage. Luckily, it was a plastic bottle. It was only half full. And the copper said, mate, he could have created a serious incident. He could have smashed the windscreen or, done something like that. And I said, look, you talk to the bloke, tell him to pull his head in. And he said, I've spoken to him. He said he didn't care. And I'm thinking, well, look, I understand, but I'm already on my way to North Queensland, so I'm not going to be back for a week anyway. But people that would do something as stupid as that, again, here we go. I'm not perfect, Luke. I make mistakes. I will pull out and the car will turn up and I've got to back off because there wasn't enough room or something. But, genuinely, I make sure there's enough room. I try and do the right thing. You can't guess whether the other person's going to speed up, and we know that does occasionally happen. But to do something as ridiculous as throwing a bottle at someone because you were driving along with those bright white halogen inserts you put in your four-wheel drive, and you've gone and put 2 ton of load on the back of it and haven't worked out that, on these roads it might look like these high beams are high and I'm blinding every single vehicle coming towards me for the whole time you're on the road. Well, mate, set your vehicle up better. Dip your lights down. Do something. Don't put bloody blinding lights in the vehicle if you're going to go and load the back of it up and not adjust the headlights.
Yeah,
education. So, look, I didn't pursue it, but how do we want people to be safe? Absolutely. Do we want them to think for 1 second before they do something stupid? So if you've got bright lights, and it is part of the road's problem too, Luke. If the road's billiard smooth, you drive along, your lights stay where they are, it's all good. If you're coming to someone down this undulating bit of road, it may well look as though you are flashing them every time you go over a bump because of the cut-off of the lights. But does blinding that person at the last second when you go past, is that really of value? You know, does it achieve anything other than you having a big head? And maybe that then bloke runs off the road and dies, you know, and do people really need to do that sort of thing? Is it a value? I don't think so.
Trevor has written to us and given us a photo. He said, I gave up on common sense. He now wears night glasses. Have you seen this picture of the night glasses? The
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, Kelsey will post it. He's got they're night glasses. Are you aware of such a thing?
Mate, there were yellow tinted glasses
these are yellow
many
tinted.
years ago.
Yeah.
That's right. But there was a problem, Luke. There was 2 different levels. One is just a yellow tint, and one is much darker yellow. Now, it is technically illegal now to wear yellow tinted glasses at night.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah, I have a little set of clip-on ones, so you can take them on and off your prescription glasses, sort of thing. I've got the same with me sunnies. Buy them cheap, put them on there. And mate, what happened was some bloke then in the past put the dark yellow glasses on, drove down the road, had an accident, got involved and said, I couldn't see because of these glasses. And if you look now, you talk to any optometrist, it is technically illegal to use those night driving glasses. But look, if I'm on the Hume and you know, I'm getting older, if I'm on the Hume, so you've got virtually cars every 2 seconds coming the other way, and we've discussed the problem with new halogen lights, we've discussed these automatic headlights that dip and blind you when you come, and then idiots that are just too stupid anyway, it does reduce the glare. But you've got to have the ones with the light tint, not the dark, because they then hide other things, and that's exactly what happened in the past.
Wow. I didn't know it was illegal to wear the dark yellow tinted glasses, but can I also say this? I didn't know they made them. So there you go.
Mate, you often find them in the surveys.
Yeah, I have seen them.
And they say night driving glasses, and I know a few people who are happy with them.
I know some people who fish.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And they reckon they can see down into the water better.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I have seen them. Yeah.
So then we should ask of our listeners, has anybody used them? Do they find them of value? And has anybody ever actually been knocked off for wearing them?
And I still want to get feedback about the shoe-roo. Does it work?
Yes. The Roo whistles. I'm not a fan of the shoe-roo. It's electric. It's $300.
Right. But there's one that uses the wind
that you buy for $10.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. And you put it on your bull bar or wherever. The wind goes through it, and it emits a sound that apparently the kangaroos don't like. If only they could make something similar for sharks.
Well, even birds, mate. And I did actually talk to somebody at one stage because a lot of birds get killed, and you don't mind if it's a bloody starling or something like that.
Reminder.
But, you know, cockatoos and owls and things like that. Oh, yeah, they're a menace, mate.
Gee, they can make. And what about bats?
Oh, no, I've never had any trouble with bats. But see, the owls will sit on top of a guidepost or in the middle of the road. And I did see, they wait until you come along. But I did see an eagle got hit the other day. Now, I wonder how many people really think, you know, you see carcasses on the road, roo carcasses and others, and you'll get all the crows and things like that will be there. And look, I generally hit the horn 500 metres away. Get them out of the way first, because if you wait till the last second and they're a bit slow, you hit the horn, they go straight up and straight through your windscreen. But eagles are so big and cumbersome, if you don't sort of hit the horn when you're at least 500 metres away, by the time they look and go, oh, something's coming, I'll lift off, they're right in front of you. And I did see an eagle that got hit the other day. So for goodness sake, think about the size of the bird that's coming. And get on the horn a bit early. And the same with roos, mate. I tend to sit on the horn half the night and sort of blow the horn before I get to them. If you leave it till the last minute, and I got one the other night, mate. It was the other side of Mungandai there, and a car's gone past me, so he did dip. That was fine. As he's gone past, I've hit high beam and right in front of me, mate, nearly 2 metres high. Bang! Hit him full noise. It broke me bloody active cruise control thing. I've got to get that fixed now, but didn't do any other damage, thank goodness. Luckily, I've got a decent King Bull Bar.
Another potential sponsor, King Bull Bars. Kelsey, write that down for Tom. Write it down, King Bull Bars. Hey, listen, I remember years ago talking to somebody from Wires. I think it was Wires. And they said if you hit wildlife while driving along, roadkill accident, you're supposed to stop, check if it's okay, and if it's deceased, drag it off the road so that the crows and the birds that pick on it and eat it are also off the road. Does anyone do that?
It was funny, actually. I was coming back from Broken Hill and I'd pulled up to Marker Green Reflector Bay, which of course I don't do, and a pair of Japanese tourists pulled up behind me and dragged a roo off the road. Now, I don't think they'd even hit it. It was just funny watching them do it. I have seen it at other times, and look, generally in the truck, at 100 kilometres an hour, you don't want to go braking stupidly, and particularly where you are, depending on how many trailers you've got behind. A lot of the time, there's nowhere to stop, Luke. I was driving along the other day looking for somewhere to do a number one, and there was nowhere. There's no shoulder. And again, it's where they do the road up and put the great big taper on the side. You know, whether you blow a tyre, you hit a roo, you just can't stop. So, look, when that happens, generally with us, they go off the road. But I don't think I've ever, other than those people there, seen it happen. Unless, of course, they did so much damage to the car that they've ended up stopped and broken down there anyway, and maybe then when they come along and the towie turns up or something to take them away, they move it off the road, because it can still be a problem, depending on the size of the animal. If you go over it, you can tear things out from underneath. Those sorts of things still happen. Tear airlines out, wrap around bloody guards and do damage. So we generally tend to avoid them. But depending on where they are, of course, half the time you can't actually stop and get them off the road.
Yeah. Well, I just remember talking to this. I'm pretty sure it was someone from Wires, and they said, drag it off the road. One, if it's a big animal, it could cause damage to another car or vehicle coming. But two, if it stays on the road, the crows and the magpies and the other things come down to pick on its guts.
Yes.
And they're on the road as well, and they'll be hit. So, but anyway, there you are. I just thought I'd mention that. Hey, listen.
Crows are pretty quick, Luke, but I've got to say, you get on some of the outback roads, you will see this pile of white dots on the road.
Yeah.
And there's so little traffic, they've been able to eat and shit while they're there and devour the carcass. Yeah.
I tell you what, when I lived on a farm in Young for a long time, out near Springvale. You know where that is, on the way to Temora.
Yep.
And to get to this farmhouse, we had to drive about 2 or 3 Ks on a dirt road. And the grain trucks used to go along there. So what would come down? The galahs. And the galahs, Kelsey, got so fat and slow, you bip your horn and they just wouldn't move because they were full of this grain.
Eating all the bit that fell out.
Oh, yeah. And they were fat and slow and I read somewhere that if they eat corn that's been on the ground for a little while, they can get intoxicated.
Oh, ferments or something.
It ferments.
Yes. I must say, occasionally, Luke, I came through Tailem Bend the other day and there was an absolute flock of white cockatoos. There must have been at least 200 to 300. And they took off all at once and covered the sky. And I have seen flocks of budgerigars near Ballatta in New South Wales. But yes, occasionally, that's why I say with the whistles, I'm sure they could come up with some sort of a whistle, you would hope, that might protect some of the birds, because we certainly don't like killing our native wildlife. But you say dragging them off, mate. Now, I think one trip I've actually hit 5 roos in one trip. So by the time you stopped and did that, you'd never get anywhere. And I know it's bloody perhaps callous. We certainly don't go out there. And as I say, I spend most of the night dodging them. I know there are blokes that don't dodge so much, but you'll have to listen to Travis's song, which is called Road Train.
Yeah.
And he says, there's cattle on the road, and as he comes to a screaming halt with bitumen and dust everywhere, there was blood out on the road. It's a very ethereal song, Road Train. It's quite a good one.
Rod, some news, some Truckee news. Apparently there's going to be some help from the ATO, the Australian Taxation Office. Until June 30 this year, transport businesses impacted by the rising fuel costs may be able to access more flexible payment plan arrangements to help with the increase in the fuel. What do you make of this?
Mate, it's every little thing counts at the moment. We're not talking about a 1% increase. We're talking about a 60 and 70% increase. And for one truck, it's bad enough. For 100, it's even worse. The capacity to be able to do the work. And yes, I've seen bits and pieces on the news where Without Trucks Australia stops and people need to recognise that. And that's not a threat, Luke. We're not threatening to do anything stupid. It's a simple fact. Because we rely on trucks. End of story. To do that, we need fuel. The mines rely on diesel. The farmers rely on diesel. It's got to be sorted. So the fact that they're offering some assistance is good. The biggest thing people need to be aware, of course, and the customers need to accept that fact that prices have gone up. They've got to pay for it. They've got to pass it on. We've always struggled, as we've said, Luke, because we carry that cost for some time, and then some people abuse it. As I said, mate who's, boss won't pay him, but he's charging his customers. So every little bit helps, because otherwise we are going to lose some long-term companies, some families that have put their lives into it and done everything in their power to do the right thing. And, of course, Mr. Trump isn't going to come and say, well, I'll help you out because you've been a really good look after of the people sort of thing. So, mate, we really appreciate everything, but we do need a long-term solution, and let's hope that comes sooner.
Did you see those comments from the VTA Chief Executive Officer, Peter Anderson, the Victorian Transport Association? He says what's hurting the Victorian sector is not the lack of supply, but it is indeed the fuel prices.
Yes. And look, as I've said, I haven't struck anywhere yet that I haven't been able to get fuel. We've spoken about the problem with fuel theft. Did have a bloke had his track drained the other day. But look, I've known Peter for a long time. And yes, because they're down there, they do have supply in. They're not suffering that part of it. But it's simply the fact that, Luke, someone was saying the other day, now I know it's petrol, but it went up 20 cents overnight. Now you've gone and got a fuel levy on, you've raised it on this job that you're going to do next week, and you set it on what the current price is. By the time you go and do the job, the price has gone up another 15 cents a litre.
And your quote is out the door.
That's right. So that's where the problem lies. And then the customer says, but you quoted. Now, again, we don't control the fuel price. If people recognise that, we're not adding it on. Look, I'm really concerned that somewhere down the track, Luke, there are going to be those companies that say, we can add this bit on, no one's going to notice, they're going to expect it for the fuel, and then when the fuel comes down, some of that's going to stay there. And there will be people that do the wrong thing. I'm afraid that's the way of the world. But at the moment, the transport companies must do it to survive, not to make money out of it, not to rip you off, but because, as we've discussed, diesel is the second biggest cost in road transport. We don't move without it.
What's number one? Wages.
Wages is one.
Fuel
is
and
two.
then tyres.
Tyres is three. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So they're the biggest costs. And if we don't get enough money out of the trip to buy the fuel for the next one, then we're on the side of the road and the stuff doesn't get delivered. So we're not gouging. We're trying to recover a cost that's already gone up, because without that, we don't travel.
Hey, listen, Marloo Transport Solutions, probably better known as Nighthawk Transport's been placed into liquidation. Another one.
Yes. Now, that's fully Aboriginal owned.
Is it?
Yes, it was bought. People started, I think, I read it, 2022. It was going for a little while, and then it was bought out by an Aboriginal corporation up there. Now, we actually delivered to them, Luke. A little while ago, there was a major flood event in the Territory. There was an Aboriginal community west of Katherine that virtually got washed away. They were living in tents, and we ended up taking some stuff up there. The Northern Territory government at the time, I believe, wasn't as helpful as they might have been. and some of this stuff came out of New South Wales to help set them up. But because it was an Aboriginal settlement, we weren't allowed to deliver direct. We had to deliver into Nightingale, and they had, because they were Aboriginal based and because they had the permits to run into those areas, we had to transfer 6 trailer loads of freight onto their trucks for them to run out to the community. So, look, I know they did that and they did it timely. They met every requirement of the government at the time. But I did read they're saying it's been both a seasonal problem, so there's been rains when they couldn't deliver. There has been freight volume issues. And again, that applies to every single transport company in Australia where the freight goes up and down, and one day you've got too much and the next day you haven't got enough. But it's sad to see them disappear. A lot of people, of course, have lost their job. And because it was based in Katherine, I'm pretty sure it was one of the biggest, if not, there's not a lot of transport companies there. So it's going to leave a big gap in the market, mate. So it's sad to see that they didn't find a way to work it through. But initially they did try and keep going, but couldn't find a buyer, it would seem, and they've had to shut down. So sad for the people up there, mate, that's for sure.
I'm reading here they employed 17 full-time and 20 casual employees, and they have a long and proud history as a key freight provider servicing remote Northern Territory communities, including critical supply routes between Darwin, Katherine and the Gov Peninsula. Yeah.
So, mate, who's going to fill that gap? We don't know, and sad that those blokes have lost their jobs as well.
We'll talk more about this when we go live later in the week. But, God, I told you this would happen. There's no timetable for the reopening of the Great Western Highway in New South Wales.
No, I did see Miss Aitchison on the TV saying that the Raymond Terrace one is 12 months in advance, so that's a really good thing, but that they could not nominate a time. I believe, from what she said, that they are doing some piling into that road to see if they can secure it in place, but they can't nominate. And of course, that means the Bells line of road is carrying a phenomenal volume of traffic, and it's something that they knew was coming. And hindsight's a marvellous thing, we know, but geez, if they've let it go to this point, it's now closed. It's going to have an enormous impact on Western New South Wales and everybody that's travelling through there. We ask people to stay safe, and we hope that they're going to come up with a decent solution as soon as possible. But geez, mate, I don't know that 3 months is going to solve it. I really hope they find a way.
And one last thing, what do you make of this? I'm after another Rod rant. You ready?
Ready.
You know where I'm going to go. There was a man who has been charged after $1.1 million of diesel fuel was allegedly stolen from unmanned Queensland depots over the last 12 months. $1.1 million worth of fuel. We're going to say allegedly. He's been charged.
Yes.
A search of a property at Greenbank in March recovered stolen property, a homemade taser, police have said, and he's going to face court again in May. I guess there's not much we can say until it goes to court, then we'll have more to say.
Well, the bit I saw, it said that it was about stolen fuel cards. So, whether he's managed to steal them from companies and then go and take the fuel, it's certainly a concern, mate. But I did also see a video online, and a gentleman contacted me. He was in an oversized load. So they were about, I think, 5.5 metres travelling down the highway. So we spoke about pilots a couple of weeks ago coming home from Perth, but there's one out the front, one out the back. The one out the front's calling a heavy vehicle coming the other way. 5.5 metres, mate. Please find the shoulder. Please pull up. Oh, mate, just kept coming straight through. And eventually the 5.5 metre load had to stop right in the middle of the road because the truck had not slowed. They said he was an overseas gentleman. It is assumed he did not have the radio on, and we've discussed why sometimes they turn it down or off. But this thing is 5.5 metres wide, Luke. It's not like it's a goggomobile driving down the road and you've missed it over a crest or round a corner.
G-O-G-G-O.
Yeah, that's the one. And there used to be a club. But anyway, mate, this bloke just simply would not slow until it got to the point where he virtually had to stop. And then he just kept driving around the shoulder. So for goodness sake, we have to share the road. We as truck drivers share the road with everybody else. We don't teach them. I'll give you a rave on that. I've been asking governments for 20 years to do something. If you have data, and it's everywhere, and it's similar in the States, that fatal crashes between cars and trucks are 80%. And I'm not going to quibble whether it's 72 or 93 or 61 or 47. It's 80% roughly the fault of the car driver. We've discussed why some of those things happen, because stupid idiots overtake when they can't see enough road and they run into someone and somebody dies. Impatience is a very dangerous killer, but if we taught people when they got their licence simple physics about a truck being a bit slower to get going and needing more room to stop, and my normal analogy, Luke, is if you were a pedestrian, you wouldn't step straight out in front of a bus and expect it to stop because you stepped out in front of it. You die. And yet so often people do that. They look, they wait until the truck's, oh, geez, I've got to be in front of that truck. I better pull out in front of it now. And then they either get run over or something happens behind them. If we taught them that trucks need a bit more room, and it's not about might is right, it's about sharing the road, we would save countless lives, and yet not one government has done anything to include that education in licensing. And we see it when people die on the road. And look, I had a bit of a LinkedIn comment the other day. There's currently a big blitz by the NHVR. They're saying that they found 5,000 fatigue offences last year. Now, the first bloke commented and said, well, maybe they need to look at why there were 5,000 fatigue offences. Why are blokes being put in that position? And we've argued before about chain of responsibility and how ineffective, unfortunately, it is at times. And I wrote the comment and I said, if they were to give us the truth, were of those 5,000 offences 4,200 because a bloke didn't tick a box, he didn't put a date in, he didn't add the hours up, he was 10 minutes down the road and wanted a pee or a feed or whatever it is, and they told us the truth about those offences, if there's an issue, we as an industry want to know. We want to know if blokes are being forced to drive. Then we can do something about that. We want to know if there's a particular thing that they are finding concerns with, and then we need to address that. We need to look at it because you can't fix something if you don't know what the problem is.
Exactly. And you've been saying that as long as I've known you. If they turn around and say, we got 5,000 offences, we're going to have another blitz, let's go and bang the shit out of truck drivers again, I don't think that's fixing the problem either, Luke. So, look, I'm happy we'll have to chase them up again and see what results they get from this. Paul was really good and genuine last time. And it's funny, one of the people who commented on my post used to work for the NHVR, and he said, new people in charge now. And that's fine. They have a role to play, but they either include us and work with us, or they make us the enemy and punish us. And I think I know which one works better, Luke. What do you reckon? I think you get more bees with honey.
That's the one.
Yeah, and carrots work better than a big stick, I've found.
But there's not many of them about.
There's not. Rod Hanifey will be doing something live later in the week. I'm really looking forward to it, and we'll be taking calls. Folks, write the number down, 0291289311. We'll be taking live phone calls. We want to read your feedback. Luke Bona, radioguy@gmail.com. Just contact us and jump in and have your say. Do you want to know a little bit of trivia?
Mm-hmm.
Because you mentioned Go-Go Mobile.
Yes.
G-O. No, not the dart.
Not the dart.
That was an ad for the Australian Yellow Pages, you might remember.
Yes, it was, yes.
You remember who
I can see the man doing, I can't remember his name, but I can see him.
Okay, I'll tell you who it was. His name was Tommy Dysart, and he was born in Scotland. That's where the accent came in so well.
Yeah.
He's a wee ripper. Remember? Tommy,
that was a good ad.
It was well, that made him famous, but he had been around treading the boards for a long, long time. And he was Caiaphas in the original Jesus Christ Superstar stage performance at the Capitol Theatre.
Right.
That was the Jewish high priest with the very deep voice, okay?
Right.
Annas, the priest with the very high voice, was John Paul Young.
Ah, there you go.
Anyway.
Yes, he's a big fella, eh?
Anyway, Tommy Dysart, he went on because of the famous GGO Gogomobile Yellow Pages. He then went on to be the face of Shannon's. And he did Shannon.
Yes.
Yeah, and one more. Are you ready?
Yep.
Don Smallgoods. Is Don? Is good. That was the great late Tommy Dysart, who died back in 2022. But there you go, a bit of trivia.
And isn't it funny how that one thing that he would never have thought important at the time led to all of that? Yes, being in the right place at the right time, eh?
Oh, he's a great character actor. He was in Prisoner too.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and one last thing.
Okay,
so a word in our vernacular now, recalcitrant, came from a politician. Well, it was a politician not knowing the meaning of a word that became a catch cry. Would you like me to elaborate?
Yes.
So,
I think I know where you're going, but you go.
Well, it was Pauline Hanson who didn't know the meaning of the word xenophobic when she was interviewed in 1996 on 60 Minutes. I think it was Tracy Curo.
Right.
And she was talking about her maiden speech in Parliament, how we're going to be overrun by Asians and the Aboriginals were this and that.
Yeah.
And so she said, "Are you xenophobic?" And Pauline Hanson paused and said, "Please
explain." She said yes.
She said, "Please explain." So there.
That's where it came from.
That's where it came from.
Righto. There you go.
Jeez, I'm full of shit, aren't I?
But it's good shit, Luke. Yes.
Thank you.
Did you see? I'm sure you've seen the post just recently. I'm going to have to go and beat the dog to death. It's dug up me.
No, don't say that. We'll get complaints. Don't.
No, I won't.
Say you're going to give the dog
he's a naughty dog.
He's a naughty dog.
Naughty dog.
Don't
That's
you
right.
dare! Oh
After
God,
I
Kelsey.
fix the hole.
Kelsey, redact. Rod will be inundated. Oh my
Yes, he
God!
will.
OSPCA, animal welfare.
The whole lot,
Peter will have you on toast. You're killing kangaroos willy nilly. You're killing owls, and now you're going to put the dog to death. Oh, Rod, what are you doing to me, son?
There you go. But anyway, I actually know where I'm going to be on Tuesday morning. So let's see if that changes between now and then.
All right. Well, I can't wait to catch up with you, brother. Good to talk.
I'll go and fix the hole. Safe travelling to all, mate.
And give the dog a bone and a pat, okay?
Oh, pat, yes.
Stop it.
You Lucky. Come here, Lucky.
We'll be back live if you've been listening to this since it dropped at midnight. In a few hours, we'll be on with Rod Hanifey, a live Truckee Tuesday. If you're on the roads, please join in.
Facebook or YouTube.
Yep, absolutely.
Woohoo. Luke, do you have a thought of the day?
What's the difference between a golf ball and a Mercedes-Benz?
A golf ball and a Mercedes-Benz. Something about it's got to be something to do with driving. A golf ball can drive. Did I get it right?
Tiger Woods can drive a golf ball 300 yards without hitting a tree.
Hey, I nearly got it right.
Well done, Kelsey.
Thank you.
9.
Bye.